In my past life, Luzurin and I lived a quiet, uneventful life together. Lying on his sickbed, holding my hand, he said, "Jianian, it's good that you're the one with me at the end." He had no regrets about ultimately choosing me over his white moonlight. He was also perfectly content with how I had meticulously managed every aspect of his life and work. Yet, I could hear the resignation in his words. The sense of settling for second best. I'm tired of being someone's consolation prize. And so, I found myself back at the age of 20. I asked myself, would I be willing to live this same life all over again? The answer is no. I chose to distance myself from him. 1. I was married to Luzurin for 70 years, and he passed away at the age of 100. He left with a faint smile, yet I stood up and looked out the window. I thought, if there is a next life, I do not want to be Luzurin's wife. When I opened my eyes, I saw the campus with its plane trees outside the window. Suddenly, a piece of chalk landed on me. "Su Jianian, can you repeat what I just said?" I stood up and saw the aerodynamics professor standing at the podium, looking at me with displeasure. Someone heckled, "Professor, she's not in our class, she's just here with her boyfriend." The teacher gave me a long, searching look, then turned back to continue writing on the blackboard. Luzurin, sitting beside me, suddenly spoke up. "She's not my girlfriend." A dead silence fell over the entire classroom. I could feel my heart pounding like a drum. At this time, Luzurin was youthful, yet possessed a maturity and steadiness far beyond his years. He was always aloof and solitary, a fleeting glimpse that captivated my gaze. In these moments, he was also cold, distant, and utterly unyielding, leaving one to swallow every ounce of humiliation alone. I smiled to myself. He was just the same as in my past life. I said, "That's right, teacher, I'm not his girlfriend, and I'm not a student in your class. Sorry for disturbing your class, I'll leave now." Luzurin paused mid-page turn, blocking the exit and showing no sign of moving. After class, the teacher asked me to step outside with her. Before speaking, she tapped my head with her finger. "Do you like him that much? Can't you see he's not interested?" I nodded. "I can see it, Auntie. I won't come to audit your class anymore." My aunt didn't believe me and made me confirm it again before heading back to her office. Someone called my name from behind, running over with a laugh and slinging an arm over my shoulder. "Jianian, want to go get some popsicles? The new mung bean ones are really good." My treat. Seeing me shake my head, Tang Xi's smile remained bright as she immediately switched her offer. "Then come to my place to see the new color TV. You have no idea, the picture is super clear. I'll play Jeff Chang's Wah for you, let you go crazy, let you run wild, thinking one day you'd be moved." Tang Xi made a fist with her hand, pretending it was a microphone, and sang along to the lyrics. A faint smile touched my lips. "I'm going abroad soon and have a lot to prepare, so I won't be able to hang out with you for a while." Tang Xi hooked her arm through mine and let out a disappointed huh. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "You'll be with Luzurin. It'll actually be more convenient without me tagging along." Tang Xi slowly let go of my arm, and the smile faded from her face. I looked up again and saw Luzurin leaning against the doorframe not far away, his head tilted back against the wall. He glanced over at the sound and said, "Leave her be, let her do as she pleases." He walked over and took the bag from Tang Xi's hand. What a hassle. His eyes never met mine, yet every word pierced straight through my heart. 70 years, truth be told, a scene like this feels like a distant memory. Hearing it, even now, still feels like a thorn in my heart, but in the past, I would have tried every way to soften that thorn, until it became one with my flesh and blood. I said, "Aren't you going to ask when I'm leaving?" Luzurin let out a cold snort. Tang Xi frowned, cutting him off, and asked me, "Jianian, when did this happen? Why the sudden decision to go abroad?" I raised a hand to shield my eyes from the sun, gazing down the corridor. "When the plane tree boulevard changes color, it won't be long now, too." After that, I stopped going to school. Studying abroad was a spur-of-the-moment decision, but getting everything ready for it took a fair amount of time. While I was looking up information in the study, my aunt suddenly knocked and opened the door, saying to me, "My star pupil is here. He said he was just visiting, but after dropping off a gift, he's just hanging around and won't leave. Why don't you come out and say hello?" I gave a helpless smile. "Just leave the door open. Auntie, you can go and prepare your lesson." It was the afternoon, though still early summer. The occasional chirp of a cicada could already be heard, but there were no footsteps coming in. When I looked up from the screen, outside, the sky was growing dark. I walked into the living room. It was as if Luzurin had never been there. The last rays of the setting sun flooded the living room floor. It did carry a certain air of loneliness. Over the next few days, I finalized my study abroad destination. I was raised by my aunt. My parents left me some money and went on to live their own separate lives. in my past life. I never saw them again until the very end, but I was in a state where no one interfered with me. It was quite liberating, actually. I told my aunt our destination. She said, "It's a great place, right now. This country is the most advanced in the aerospace field." Young Lou has been asking where you're going these past few days. Getting him to show concern for someone else is no small feat. Why don't you tell him yourself? I chuckled wryly. Auntie, didn't you say you couldn't stand my lack of tact? Always inserting myself between Lu Zurin and Tang Si. You even felt embarrassed by it and wouldn't let me get close to you at school. Auntie sighed. What I'm most afraid of is that you're just acting on a whim. If you're really sure, then don't go back on your word, I said. Don't worry, Auntie. The next day, I went back to the school for a bit. I ran into some classmates and found out that news of my studying abroad had already spread like wildfire. My roommate couldn't help but click their tongue in disapproval as I packed my things. Jianian, don't you not have parents? How can you afford to study abroad? My dad says only a select few can go overseas these days. How did you manage it? An exchange student. Your grades are good, but not that good, are they? That's a bit much. Are you really going abroad to study? I casually picked up a trendy t-shirt and looked it over, front and back, then tossed it into the trash. My roommate's hand froze in midair. I asked, "Didn't Tang Si tell you, you're not getting the clothes?" "She must have promised you something in return," my roommate hurriedly explained. "No, Jianian, Tang Si didn't tell me to say that. She didn't give me anything either," I said. "Oh, I see, so you're just being a jerk for no reason." I picked up my packed belongings and walked out of the dorm room. My roommate followed me out. I paused in the doorway, pointing a finger in the air. I always thought there was a thief in the dorm. Things kept disappearing. Who knows who'll be desperate enough to pick up these clothes this time? My roommate's face fell. I turned back to the dorm and slumped over the desk, crying. I stepped out of the dormitory. What lovely weather. Autumn must be just around the corner. But before autumn arrived, an unwelcome guest came first. When I reached the school gate, someone reached out and took my suitcase. "Are you going to Michigan? Isn't your major diplomacy? Don't you plan to follow in your parents' footsteps?" I was taken aback. Lu Zurin had indeed heard about many of my stories that never quite made the rounds. I said, "No, thanks. I find them a bit too free-spirited. Maybe I could still run into them even if I don't become a diplomat. Perhaps, while they're jet-setting around, they could fly on a plane I built." Well, I'd say that counts as a meeting. Lu Zurin suddenly lost his grip on the suitcase. The luggage scattered all over the ground. Suitcases really are inconvenient. I crouched down to pick it up. Lu Zurin kicked it in frustration. "All this stuff was worth a special trip back for you, but saying goodbye to me wasn't," I said. "And what capacity should I bid you farewell in?" Lu Zurin. 3. Lu Zurin was utterly baffled. "In our past life, we got together 5 years later, at the turn of the millennium. By that time, we had all graduated. Tang Si went abroad to study, met an American tycoon overseas, and got married soon after. Lu Zurin promptly proposed to me. Even though, by then, we hadn't seen each other for 3 years since graduation, I agreed to marry him without a second thought. In my moments of self-loathing, I believed time could conquer all hardships. As long as Lu Zurin was mine, I had all the time in the world to achieve things gradually, including making him love me. The truth is, 70 years still wasn't enough, yet, just a few days after my rebirth, when I stopped orbiting Lu Zurin, I actually found the signs I had longed for in my past life, but I don't believe it. There's no place for me in Lu Zurin's heart, at least not right now. He's just not used to it. I didn't wait for Lu Zurin to answer. "Lu Zurin, you're the only one who knows my parents are diplomats, right? Everyone else has always thought I was an orphan, with no family or relatives. For instance, Tang Si walking towards us." Lu Zurin said impatiently, "I didn't tell anyone." "Don't you hate discussing family matters with others, right? Between us, only Tang Si thinks I'm an orphan." Lu Zurin frowned slightly. "What are you trying to say? Cindy never said a word about you. You should trust her. Everyone thinks she and I are the closest. She's the one who should keep my secrets." I didn't respond, as Tang Si smiled and waved to us, then came running towards us, her skirt billowing. I took a step back, haphazardly closed the scattered boxes, and tossed them beside the trash can. Then I turned and walked out of the school gate. The situation regarding my plans to study abroad was escalating. A lot of people reached out to me, some with envy, others joking, "Don't forget us when you make it big." Later on, someone even suggested throwing me a farewell party. In the dimmest corner of the KTV room, Lu Zurin sat in silence, his demeanor keeping everyone at a distance. The room pulsed with colored lights. And the crowd broke into cheers the moment they saw me walk in. Let's give a warm welcome to our college's first international student. Come on, everyone, let's have a big round of applause for our guest of honor. Hey, future scholar, how about a song for us? Don't go forgetting about us once you're off studying abroad. You'll need to speak English in the US, right, Sue? Do you even know how? Why don't you just sing us an English song? Looking around, I saw many familiar faces. Most of them were Tang Sini's ex-boyfriends and their buddies. I took the microphone and smiled softly. I'll sing a Chinese song, I said. I just learned it recently, not waiting for anyone to feel awkward. I selected the backing track myself. As the lyrics, since love blurs right and wrong, don't run away, face it bravely were sung, Lu Ziyan in the corner shifted slightly. The shadow cast by the hair falling over his forehead made it impossible to read his expression. The preceding line was, "How I wish to give you another chance, to ask you who you truly love." He remained unmoved. In this three-person dynamic, it's time for me to quietly bow out. As the song ended, someone paused for a moment before leading the applause. I walked over to the sofa booth, opened a bottle of soda, and took a swig. The lively atmosphere in the private room carried on. They seemed to have forgotten their original purpose, all scrambling to grab the microphone. All sorts of distorted voices drifted out in a roundabout way, making one chuckle from time to time. Lu Ziyan suddenly spoke up. "Su Jianian, you said that if you love someone, you should be brave, right?" I didn't hesitate. "Right. That goes for both loving and not loving someone." His gaze settled on Tang Sini, who had already blended in with a group of guys and was the center of attention in the crowd. "So it's okay that she's had so many boyfriends, right? She just changes boyfriends frequently. There's never been any moral issue with it. I've always believed she's just a passionate person." Lu Ziyan turned to look at me. "That's why I don't believe she was the one who leaked your secret. Not even today's gathering, even if she's involved. I refuse to believe she had any ill intent." "Jianian, I never took you for someone who beats around the bush. This time, you've really let me down." I gave the half-empty bottle of orange soda in my hand a little shake. "So, what of it?" "What, Lu Ziyan, you've always known I had feelings for you, haven't you?" His gaze abruptly shifted away. Turning to the side, I continued, "You think the one who dares to fall for someone first is the one in the wrong, don't you? The passionate one's actions are always seen as complex, while the despicable party deserves to shoulder all the blame." "I never thought that." Lu Ziyan leaned over, picked up a soda bottle, and just as he brought it to his lips, he noticed a lipstick mark. Instinctively, he looked up towards Tang Sini, feeling awkward. I let it go. I smiled faintly. "Lu Ziyan, you're rather despicable too. Your affection is like the foul sludge in a sewer, too afraid to be exposed to the sunlight." Yet it was common knowledge, something that made people wrinkle their noses in disgust. Lu Ziyan's expression darkened. He picked up the bottle of soda and downed it in one go. It seemed like a fit of pique. This was a side of him rarely seen. "I find it utterly repulsive." I stood up. "If you like someone, you can try to win them over. But you don't have to do it by sacrificing someone else." "Lu Ziyan, I won't be your excuse anymore. It's for the best if we stop seeing each other." 4. Lu Ziyan doesn't believe that Tang Sini was the one who spread those rumors about me at school. Nor does he believe that this party, which is so obviously connected to her, was organized with any malicious intent. He thinks it's all just a deliberate smear campaign on my part. It's fine. I came just to say a final "it wasn't worth it" to the past. After the karaoke party ended, I focused on my language class. Near the end of the class, Tang Sini contacted me, which didn't surprise me. When she saw me, she immediately put her arm around my shoulder. "Same as always. Pass me that box of chocolates. Go ahead, try one. My uncle brought these back from Italy. They're delicious, filled with nuts, really fragrant." I unwrapped one right then and there and let it melt slowly in my mouth. She slowly lowered her arm. "I thought you were mad at me." "I'm glad you're not," I said. "Which one are you talking about?" Tang Sini paused for a moment. "It's nothing. I'm just glad you're not upset. Let's not dwell on the past. By the way, Jianian, why the sudden decision to study abroad? I've never heard you mention your parents. I never brought it up to avoid upsetting you, but it seems I misunderstood the situation. I had no idea your family was so well off and that your parents dote on you. How could you keep something like that from me? That's not very fair of you, especially since we're supposed to be good friends. I wouldn't exactly call us close friends. Lu Ziyan and I met when we were kids. His mother and my aunt were very close. My aunt was not only his teacher but also a family elder to him in private. Over time, Ziyan and I naturally became familiar with each other. It's just that Lu Ziyan isn't the affectionate type. Even after knowing each other for over a decade, we don't seem as close as Tang Sini and I do. And I've only known her for a little over a year," I said, "because I'm well behaved." And with the tragic backstory you fabricated for me. Your constant presence by my side often leads people to mistakenly think you're not so bad after all. Tangsini, I'll admit, I have my own motives for hanging out with you so often. I know Luzuran likes you, but he's too afraid to admit it. With me around as a third wheel, he faces less gossip. Luzuran couldn't bring himself to admit he'd fallen for a woman with a tarnished reputation. With the three of us traveling together, he could pretend his target was me, not Tangsini. Each of us three had our own secrets, things not meant for others to know, and none of us held it against the others. It's best if we end things here. Su Jianian, have you lost your mind? Tangsini clearly didn't see it that way. You're saying Luzuran doesn't dare admit he likes me. Ha, what a joke. You think too highly of yourself. You're just a dull, dreary bore, and you call yourself a university student. How utterly pathetic. You think being seen with you makes you look good. When I'm not with you, all the girls might call me wild, but secretly they're green with envy, and every guy would kill to date me. The only reason I'm seen with you is to make myself look better by comparison. You really think you're such a catch? She snatched the open box of chocolates from him. How dare you even show your face here to eat, you broke-ass loser. Talking about studying abroad, you're just an orphan with no family, putting on airs. With all the nightclubs these days. Every school has girls working under the table. Are you going abroad or are you going on the game? Anyone with half a brain can see the truth. So that's how it is. So Luzuran never told her about my real family background. Luzuran is always like this, flawed in character, yet unwavering in principles, coupled with a handsome face. It's all too easy to become the youth of someone whose light has dimmed. I let out a self-deprecating laugh. I'm not going to dwell on the rights and wrongs of it anymore. Since we've torn off the mask of civility, let's just go our separate ways and never speak again. Tangsini, you'd better watch your step. Don't do anything foolish. Oh, I know a lot of your little secrets, the ones you can't tell anyone. 5. Tangsini clearly wasn't listening to a word I said. When my student visa was approved, I went to the school to collect the documents. They detained me there, insisting I had to bring a parent. The school has access to my records. It shows that both of my parents are living. The principal called me into his office and said, "Student Sue, you've always been well-behaved, quiet, and reserved. You've never caused any trouble for the school. Recently, you've allowed rumors to spread unchecked without making any statement, which has significantly damaged the school's reputation. I'm very disappointed. I know you're going abroad to study, but this is your alma mater. It nurtured and educated you. You can't be ungrateful, otherwise, it will be difficult to know what to write in your school recommendation letter. It's so unfair. But what's done is done. We just have to deal with it. The rumors at school have escalated to the point where they say my studying abroad is a lie, and that I've actually dropped out to work at a nightclub. I'm an orphan. I couldn't bear the poverty anymore and wanted to take a shortcut. That's a pretty compelling reason." Walking across campus, you could hear people talking about it everywhere. They say if people like me aren't severely punished, it will corrupt public morals and lead more female students astray. This clearly isn't the internet age yet. It's hard to imagine how much effort Tangsini put in to achieve this result. I used to give my roommates many things, and just by feeling the fabric, they could tell it wasn't cheap. Yet in the chat room, they claimed that everything I have was merely given out of Tangsini's charity. I took it back and claimed it as my own, and so, the accusation of being vain and status-obsessed landed squarely on me once again. The gossip wasn't hard to quell. I produced my bank statement, which showed I had $1 million in my account from the day I was born. You don't even have to go back 20 years. $1 million in the 90s was already a huge amount of money, once the deposit slip was produced. Many people fell silent. I didn't explain the rest. After all, as a top-tier domestic institution, it's not a place for baseless rumors and sensationalist talk to run rampant. I've successfully gathered all the materials required for studying abroad. Once the University of Michigan acceptance letter arrives, I'll be able to head to the U.S. It's now the height of summer, and the school is about to go on break. I thought everyone had forgotten about this matter. Tangsini's eyes were red from crying, and the moment I opened the door, she slapped me. I turned to the person standing beside her. "This is my aunt's house. Did you bring her here to hit me?" Luzuran frowned. "I didn't know Cindy was going to do that. Can you please not think of me that way? Jianian, have you realized that ever since that class, you've been different from before? You always assume the worst in people. Is it because you were so quiet and reserved before, speaking so little, that this side of you never showed? Could it be that I never truly knew the real you all along? You're shameless." My first instinct was to call the police, but then it suddenly hit me. Surveillance cameras weren't common back then, and there wouldn't be any witnesses either, so I just raised my hand and struck back. It was Luzurin who got hit. Luzurin, you're not just deaf. You're blind too. I don't welcome you coming here to throw a tantrum for no reason. Get lost, all of you. Luzurin grabbed my hand in shock. Did you just hit me? What on earth is wrong with you? Are you still this angry just because I didn't publicly acknowledge you as my girlfriend, but we're clearly not together? Was there a problem with me denying it? We were so caught up in our argument that we completely ignored Tangsini. She forcefully pushed her way between us. She cried out, Luzurin, have you forgotten why we came here today? Luzurin's face turned cold. Su Jianian, apologize to Sini. 6. I was so mad I laughed. What am I even apologizing for? Tangsini sobbed her accusation. Su Jianian, I always thought of you as a sister. How could you suggest to Zurin that I was the one who started those rumors about you? I did think your parents were gone. But I wasn't the only one who thought so. What makes you so sure it was me? I looked at Luzurin. Did you ask her? Yes, I did. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to get to the bottom of it. There's no problem with that, I said. You're the only one, truly. If anyone else thinks that way, you're the one who leaked it first. Tangsini, you joked with me back then, saying you'd never heard me talk about my family, and asked if it was because there was nothing to talk about. I just smiled and didn't say anything. You took that as confirmation. The very next day, my roommate started going through my things, trying to find photos of my family. So what? That doesn't prove I said it. Couldn't someone else have had the same suspicion? Tangsini continued to argue. I said, that time I gave my roommate a bottle of French perfume. She told me she ran into you in the cafeteria. You looked concerned and said you were worried my family situation was unhappy and that I was bottling it up, which could cause problems, that very night. The whole dorm had a late-night talk, specifically pressuring me to talk about my family. Tangsini, that was right after we started school, before military training was even over. Do you remember? Su Jianian, Luzurin suddenly roared. So you knew what Tangsini did to you from the very beginning, and you still stayed friends with her for a whole year. Oh, wait, no, it's all a lie. Have you ever been genuine with anyone? You never considered her a friend. And you never gave a damn about me. All these years, I thought what you felt for me. Turns out it was all fake. I crossed my arms and leaned my head against the doorframe, looking at him. And how did I treat you? Luzurin, don't act innocent. You knew full well how long I've liked you, and you had no problem using my feelings for you to get close to Tangsini. Who are you to judge me? Luzurin choked up, turning his head away as his Adam's apple bobbed several times. Then don't go abroad. 7. As long as you don't go abroad, I cut Luzurin off, not wanting to hear what came next. Who do you think you are, making demands like that? Luzurin, it's me you like. Tangsini's voice rushed to drown out mine. She seemed to have lost her confidence in that moment. She didn't lack for anything, yet she craved the affection of every boy. I closed the door. I avoided looking at the conflict in Luzurin's eyes. Before the admission results were even announced, I left the country on a tourist visa. Little did I know that farewell would last until 1996, the year the U.S. hosted the Olympics. While volunteering to guide spectators to their seats, I saw Luzurin. He was with Tangsini. It's nothing. What did catch my eye, however, was Tangsini's pregnant belly. Luzurin met my gaze, offering no explanation. The place was crowded, and I had no time to let them catch up. After settling everyone in, someone suddenly pulled me into a pitch-black compartment. I stayed silent, listening intently to the sound of breathing in the dark. Someone buried their head in the crook of my neck. Su Jianian, his voice trembled at the end. Luzurin was fighting to hold it back, desperate to hide the fact he was crying, but he forgot. His tears traced a path down my neck and shoulder, pooling in the hollow of my collarbone, forming a tiny, sorrowful well. I gave him a gentle nudge. I still have work to do. He stubbornly refused to budge. Why did you lie to me? What? You were never in Michigan. I see. I applied to 3 schools. I wasn't a fan of Michigan's climate, so I went to California. Then why didn't you tell me? Or rather, why didn't you contact me even once after coming to the States? Su Jianian, how could you be so heartless? I patted his shoulder. Didn't we already clear the air? Get up. Don't make me despise you. He froze, then looked up. We didn't. You never gave me a chance to explain. I wanted to say, if you just stay, I can tell people you're my girlfriend. I could never be with Tangsini, but you will always be by my side. You can keep the title of my girlfriend forever. So that's how it is. So, those 70 years in our past life were nothing but an act of his great mercy. I merely bore the empty title of his beloved, so that when others speak of me, they won't have a single word of mockery to say. No wonder he was always more restrained than affectionate towards me. I said, let me be perfectly clear now. Luzurin, I don't love you anymore. I used to have my eyes fixed only on you, but now, looking out at the wide world, I realize how vast life truly is. Compared to all this, you're insignificant. I'm sorry, but I really have to get back to work, Luzern pressed on relentlessly. Why aren't you asking about my relationship with Tangsini? Why aren't you asking whose child Tangsini is carrying? Why aren't you asking how I knew you weren't in Michigan, Su Jianian? I came to America for you. Without a moment's pause, I stepped outside. Rounding the corner, I straightened my volunteer badge and put the whole matter out of my mind. Soon enough, I learned the answers to all the questions Luzern had grilled me about. Tangsini came to see me. She said it was about the time I had shut her and Luzern out. She asked Luzern, Su Jianian says you don't have the guts to admit you like me. Well, do you or don't you? If you do, then break up with your current boyfriend. I'll be with you. I only want to be with you. That day, they kissed with just a door between us. They were incredibly brazen about it. They wanted to throw a party at the karaoke bar to celebrate and announce it to everyone, but no one could get in touch with me. By that time, I was already on a plane bound for the United States. Su Jianian, you're the most cunning one of all. You kept it hidden so well. Just like that, you decided to leave without a second thought. All these years, watching me play the part of a spoiled rich girl in front of you, flaunting my supposed superiority. You must have been laughing at me on the inside, haven't you? Tangsini held a cup of coffee in both hands, taking small, occasional sips. Seeing she had no intention of stopping, I spoke up to remind her, you really shouldn't be drinking coffee right now, it's going to upset your stomach. Tangsini suddenly flared up, slamming the coffee cup down. You're as considerate as ever, Su Jianian, but really, what's so great about that? If I were like you, if my parents had been a young lady and a young master from a wealthy family even before the founding of New China, and had left such a vast fortune for their daughter, I could be just like you. I could even spread wealth far and wide, doing good for the people. But everything I've ever flaunted in front of you, the things you never cared about in the first place, I paid a heavy price for every single one. You. And all those people just like you, whether they have money or not, who look down on me from the bottom of your hearts. If you had to live in the mud like I do, you wouldn't necessarily fare any better. I took a sip of my coffee and asked her, are you quite finished? I'm not your emotional dumping ground. I have no obligation to listen to this. Tangsini looked up, stunned. So you were always so willing to listen before, then again. Who told you to be so pathetic and have a thing for Luzern in the first place? I'd do anything for him, even putting up with me. Seeing my impatience, a smug smile spread across her face. Do you want to know who the father of my baby is? It's Luzern's. 8. The night I flew out of the country, I wasn't in the karaoke room. Luzern shook off Tangsini and left. That night, Tangsini let loose with wild abandon. Soda was swapped for liquor, leading to a night of reckless and wanton debauchery. Tangsini is pregnant. The father of the child cannot be found. She took the pregnancy test results and went to find Luzern. She demanded he take responsibility. She said if he hadn't left, the child in her belly would have been his, because that night, she had wanted to give herself to him. Tangsini confronted Luzern then. I said I only wanted to be with you. You didn't believe me, Luzern. I've had so many boyfriends, but I never gave myself to a single one of them. You're the one who ruined me. The wine I prepared for you was drunk by someone else. Do you have any idea how I screamed myself hoarse when I was forced? Would you like me to go into the details of what happened? Luzern roared. Enough. But I just had to grit my teeth and accept it. Do you want to know what happened to that child back then, and why do I, as I am now, have Luzern's child? Tangsini asked me, a hand resting on her pregnant belly. I really couldn't care less. I set an alarm and pretended to answer a call. Flip phones weren't common back then. Tangsini just stared at my phone, her eyes burning with envy. I smiled slightly. Sorry, I have to excuse myself. Undeterred, she later sent a follow-up email, explaining the whole situation. From Su Jianian, hello, I still want to make things clear with you about the baby. Luzern promised to take responsibility, but in the blink of an eye, he scheduled an abortion for me. As a woman yourself, you should know how shameful an abortion is. Just because I've had a few more relationships, I've become the subject of gossip and practically every girl's enemy at school. If I actually went through with the abortion, I can't imagine how many people would despise me. I begged him not to go, but he just up and left. Just like you did, he went to the U.S. and begged his father for help. His father had abandoned his wife and child, heading south to do business when he was just 2 years old. The man married the daughter of a wealthy southern family and soon after moved the whole family abroad. His father wanted nothing to do with him. He had no shame, no concern for what anyone thought of him at that point. He pleaded with his father to pull some strings and get him into an American university, but how ridiculous, you never even went to Michigan. He was utterly humiliated and still didn't get what he wanted. Serves him right. After I found out, I went to a back alley clinic, had an abortion, and came to the U.S. to find him. Before I could say or do anything, he took me right there in the airport bathroom. Sue Jianian, that's how the child I'm carrying came to be. Don't you find that utterly repulsive? If it disgusts you, then stay away from Luzern. You have everything you could want. It's in your best interest not to cross me. Otherwise, I swear I'll stop at nothing. I might just end you. Perhaps having forgotten to sign it, she sent another email, marking the previous one as void. She typed out the content again, perhaps in too much of a hurry. They made several mistakes. There were also several inconsistencies in the wording. Maybe she only paid for an hour at the internet cafe. I couldn't help but chuckle at the rather formal sign-offs. Thank you and best wishes, I said to Luzern, who had come to see me and was sitting across from me, visibly anxious and uneasy. Are you and Tang Sini having a very difficult time back home? It was predictable. A pair of sophomores from a prestigious university, someone with a consistently poor reputation, who finally did something earth-shattering, getting pregnant before marriage, someone who appears diligent and ambitious on the surface, but secretly got someone pregnant, in less open-minded times, how they would be condemned by everyone. Their successive moves to the U.S. could only mean they could no longer stay in their home country. Tang Sini's desperate desire to hold on to Luzern is likely because Luzern already holds U.S. citizenship. She wants to obtain legal citizenship. Luzern shouldn't be the only one capable of helping Tang Sini with all this. She's had so many boyfriends and taken on so many sugar daddies. Surely there must be others willing to help her. Luzern's voice cut through my thoughts. We really couldn't stay in the country any longer. Tang Sini refused to go to the hospital, and on top of that, she told everyone the child was mine. By that point, I had already let her spread the word that we were together. No one would have believed me if I denied it, so I just left the country. I just never imagined I wouldn't be able to find you. He asked me if I knew how he had begged his father for the chance to stay in the U.S., seeing I wasn't interested at all. He gave a self-deprecating laugh and changed tack, saying, I was filled with so much hatred back then, I desperately needed an outlet. That's when Tang Sini came to see me. Truth be told, I've regretted that moment of impulse every single second since, but then she got pregnant, and this time, the child is definitely mine. She didn't want to terminate it, and I couldn't bring myself to force her to go to the hospital, so I've just been carrying this regret with me, all the way up to now, in such a short time. I've already heard more than enough about his analysis of him and Tang Sini, I said, a twist of fate. Perhaps that's just another form of destiny. Then why did you come looking for me, Luzern? He fell silent for a moment. What if I told you I've been reborn? Would you believe me? 9. A chill ran down my spine. I hadn't figured out how to respond yet. Luzern continued, speaking more to himself. You should believe it. It's quite likely you've been reborn, too. How else can I explain this sudden disgust you have for me? Did 70 years simply wear out all your patience for one person? The moment you were reborn, you chose a different life. Luzern thought that in this life, I had no desire to retrace the path of my past life that was intertwined with his. It's a case of taking something for granted once you have it, I said. What if it's because, having gone through it, I simply found it wasn't worth it, or what if? Over those past 70 years, I've regretted it more than once, regretted not choosing a different path back then, a lifetime of regret, in exchange for one chance to choose again. Luzern's eyes snapped open. After a long moment, he clutched his hair in agony. So that's how it is. Then have you ever wondered why I was able to be reborn? Perhaps I've been living with regret, too. I regret not choosing to love you from the very beginning. To say I didn't feel a moment's comfort when I heard him say that would be a lie, but it's pointless. What I think about every day now is no longer how to make Luzern love me, and what exactly was the moment of Luzern's rebirth. When he had his sudden epiphany, I probably wasn't by his side. He blames his rebirth on me. It makes absolutely no sense. Luzern admitted that his rebirth began the moment his father beat him half to death with a rattan cane and left him out in the pouring rain. That was right after he first arrived in the United States. All that hustle and bustle, that has even less to do with me, I said. You should live up to the resentment you feel in your heart. In your past life, you managed to join a classified unit. The benefits were decent, enough to free you from living under someone else's roof, but your life was one of mediocrity, as uneventful as our own lukewarm marriage. You were merely enduring it all, the daily grind devoid of passion. A life without any real ups and downs. Luzern, since you've been given a second chance, don't waste it. We never have to see each other again. I thought Luzern and I could truly go our separate ways from then on, with no further ties. Little did I know, by the turn of the millennium, I had graduated and joined an aerospace research institute abroad, while Luzern and Tang Sini's child was already 4 years old, yet, we were still dragged back together by the past. Tang Sini threw a fit and trashed the backstage area at a conference before security escorted her away. She claimed to know me and said she had a score to settle. Security didn't take matters into their own hands. They kept her in the lounge, waiting for me to see her after my meeting. When the meeting ended, I didn't go to see her. Instead, I went straight to Luzern and had him collect her from the lounge. This conference was in the field of aviation. Luzern just graduated this year and joined our research institute as an intern. During the meeting, he was just part of the background in the audience. He didn't expect me to notice him. When he saw me, he seemed a bit flustered. Long time no see, Jianian, I nodded. Your outfit seems a bit off for the occasion today. Didn't you prepare in advance? He was taken aback and fidgeted with his clothes uncomfortably. The housekeeper forgot to iron my clothes ahead of time, so I had to change into something else. I gave a non-committal response. Tang Sini is in the lounge. She's made a mess and says she's here to see me, but I don't want to meet her. You handle it yourself. Luzern froze completely. I really was talking about the housekeeper. Tang Sini and I are separated. We have no connection beyond co-parenting our child, I said. All right then. So, are you going to go collect her or what? Luzern slammed his fist hard against the wall, muttering under his breath, damn it. He then turned to me and said, you really are the type to follow a path all the way to its bitter end. In your past life, you thought you loved me, so you spent your entire existence by my side. Now in this life, you feel you don't, so you want nothing to do with me at all. Perhaps you don't realize it, but this side of you makes it even easier for me to fall for you. I'll handle Tang Sini. What comes next is a fair fight between you and me. Su Jianian, I want to pursue you properly, with all my sincerity. 10. I closed my eyes for a moment. After racking my brains, all I could manage was, you're being completely unreasonable. Luzern truly did as he said he would. Tang Sini is not eligible for long-term residence in the United States. All these years, she has been making repeated trips on a tourist visa. Luzern reported her to the authorities. Customs no longer permits her entry. That's pretty cold. But that's exactly the kind of thing Luzern would do. Luzern has never agreed to marry Tang Sini. His excuse is that he's still in school. I don't want what happened back home to happen again. Tang Sini was scared too. She's been raising the child alone all this time, never telling a soul about their relationship, so the child stayed with her in China, unable to come back to the States. Tang Sini had no other choice. She could only call me over and over to vent, calling me vicious. It's all your fault. You ruined me. Why did you have to come into my life? If I hadn't seen you living so freely, the way you wanted, I wouldn't have grown restless with my own life. I wouldn't have started questioning if I should settle down, if I should find a different way to climb the social ladder. I wouldn't have cut ties with all those sugar daddies and boyfriends from before. If I hadn't broken things off with them, I'd still be young. I could have kept getting money from them the old way. I could have lived a good life. But now I've got this millstone around my neck. Luzern hardly gives me any money these years. I can't afford to take care of myself anymore. I've let myself go, turned into a hag. No one wants me now. This is all your fault. It's your fault for showing me that a woman has other ways to live a better life. Su Jianian, I dare you to stay out of the country forever. The moment you set foot back here, I'll do everything in my power to drag you straight to hell. Tang Sini had always lived with her elderly grandmother. Her parents were sent down to the countryside during the Cultural Revolution for misreading a poem. They ultimately succumbed to the harsh conditions and died there. Poverty clung to her like a shadow. She was the one who truly endured a life of hardship. And she was also the one who strayed from the right path. Even before starting university, she was already a frequent visitor to nightclubs. The first child she made Luzern take responsibility for was not, in fact, the first child of her life. Tang Sini insisted on not aborting her child with Luzern back then because she was afraid she might never be able to conceive again. When I was enduring the gossip that nearly jeopardized my chance to study abroad, I considered revealing all of this as a counterattack, but upon reflection, if I did that, I would be no different from Tang Sini, so I let it go. Fortunately, the truth was eventually brought to light, but at this point, if Tang Sini refuses to let it go, I'm not some naive pushover either. It's the 21st century now. Information is evolving at a breakneck pace. It's frighteningly easy to ruin someone, I said. Does everyone back home know about your work? The real reason you couldn't stay last time was because you got pregnant out of wedlock, wasn't it? Tang Sini immediately understood my meaning. She gritted her teeth and hissed, "Fine, when you go back, I won't cause you any trouble, but you must never speak of my past." Deal. Unexpectedly, not long after, Tang Sini ended up in prison. She had taken a job as a nanny for a wealthy businessman's family, while she was mopping the floor in a low-cut lace nightgown. The lady of the house returned unexpectedly and caught her. The mistress slapped her several times on the spot and threw her out. The wealthy businessman came out to stop Tang Sini, who was screaming uncontrollably. After a brief struggle, he hit his head on a lawnmower and died instantly. When Tang Sini was arrested, she was still screaming, "How dare you refuse to marry me in this lifetime? You deserve everything that's coming to you. Didn't you tell me to wear this outfit? Now that your crazy wife is here, you're backing out. What kind of man are you?" In the end, Tang Sini lost her mind and was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Not long after, she was pushed off a high building by another patient inside. And that's how it ends. 11. The news of Tang Sini's death arrived just as Lu Zurin, using his work as an excuse, was waiting outside the lab, hoping to have lunch with me. As I stepped outside, he was just putting his phone away. I asked, "Not going back to see?" Lu Zurin tried to take my document bag, but I dodged him. He rubbed his nose and said, "I have nothing to do with her. What's there to go back for? What about your son, then? Are you just going to abandon him too?" He's never once called me dad." "Well, that's because you refuse to acknowledge him." Lu Zurin, I really don't understand why ordinary people like us, common as dirt in this vast world, need to be so obsessed with so-called reputation, for the sake of reputation. You'd even turn your back on your own flesh and blood. Lu Zurin struggled to keep his tone gentle. But how am I supposed to explain suddenly having a son? I didn't want to get involved. But growing up alone is just too hard. Even though Lu Zurin's son is a complete stranger to me, I still want to say a few words on his behalf. Lu Zurin, why do you feel the need to explain yourself to others? Life doesn't have that big of an audience. No one is constantly watching what you do. And not that many people actually care about the reasons behind your every move. Why are you always so concerned with explaining yourself? Can't you just live your own life well? Lu Zurin stood there, utterly dejected. He thought for a long time. But that's not what the world has shown me. Everything I've been through has taught me that I have to bend over backwards for this world just to get a little of what should have been mine to begin with. And what exactly is this thing that should have been yours? Your status as your father's son, the privilege of being the heir to a fortune. It was wrong of your father to abandon his family, I'll give you that. But the wealth and status he has now, he built that himself. If he'd stayed by your and your mother's side all those years, he'd still be that fishmonger at the market, reeking of the sea all day long. What makes you think you're entitled to that rich second-generation status? I've said more than enough. Lu Zurin clearly wasn't listening. I stopped worrying about him and started making arrangements to return home. No one knows why I suddenly wanted to go into aircraft manufacturing. In my past life, I only learned the truth right before I died. My parents were killed the moment I was born. They were stationed abroad when they were hit by enemy artillery. Their bodies were never recovered. That's why I want to build an aircraft that can become the world's most advanced weapon. I want to see my country grow strong, so that no one can disregard our people's identity and lob shells at will. My research in aircraft manufacturing also falls under the defense sector. To ensure a smooth return without obstruction, I had my aunt adopt Lu Zurin's son. I made an excuse about needing to go back and help with the adoption paperwork. Lu Zurin wanted to come back with me. I filed a report with the institute's leadership, and he was ordered to stay. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't prove any relation to that child, even for a Chinese national. It was difficult to get leave from that research institute without a valid reason. When they realized I had no intention of returning to the U.S., and was in talks with domestic research institutes, the American Institute sent Lu Zurin back to persuade me. I never imagined that one day Lu Zurin would be imprisoned on espionage charges. After several failed attempts to get me to budge, Lu Zurin received orders to first join the Domestic Research Institute and slowly work his way in. Unfortunately, I caught him in the act of stealing internal data. I reported it to the relevant authorities immediately. After Lu Zurin was taken away, he insisted on seeing me before he would confess to everything. Su Jianian. Your obsession with being reborn isn't because of me either, is it? I said. Yes, love, whether grand or small, is always worth embracing with passion. I love my parents, and I love my country, but for you, that feeling has long since faded. He bent over, his shoulders shaking uncontrollably. I was so close. A smooth return to the States, a promotion, an award, my father's approval, a share of the family business. It was all within reach, and then, just like that, I threw it all away. I'm ruined, utterly and completely. He remembered something then, shaking his head slowly. No, that's not right. You told me there are no what ifs. What ifs? There's no what if scenario more earth-shattering than getting a second chance at life itself, and yet, even with this second chance, I still didn't get what I wanted. All that's left is regret. Life should not be spent longing for what could have been, nor should it be spent hoping for a second chance. Life should be lived as if it's the only one you get, live well, and live without regrets. I, too, am filled with a sigh of emotion, but at least, this time around, I have no regrets. The end. Story 2. I reincarnated back to my sophomore year, only for my fake nice roommate Yu Shanshan to announce she's pregnant with my boyfriend Zhou Xijin's child. This time, I didn't cry or make a scene, just smiled and wished them well. Trash deserves trash, may they rot together. Meanwhile, I called my father to cut off all financial support for Zhou Xijin. In this life, my Yen family will never raise this ungrateful wretch. 1. In my past life, I was tortured to death by Zhou Xijin. Despite my congenital heart condition, he deliberately got me pregnant twice. The first time, when I was 3 months pregnant, he slipped abortifacients into my food and caused me to miscarry. My parents died in a car accident while rushing to the hospital, as their son-in-law. Zhou Xijin naturally took over all our family businesses. In public, he wore mourning clothes and wailed like a devoted son, putting on an act of filial piety. After my parents' death, he locked me at home and began beating and tormenting me. He shoved my head into the toilet and whipped me with a belt. With a twisted expression, he snarled at me, "Yushi, that bastard is finally dead. Tell me, how should I make you die?" I managed to escape and call the police twice. But he produced a forged psychiatric evaluation, convincing the officers I had severe mental illness. At the police station, he held me in his arms, weeping uncontrollably as he performed his grand display of affection. Yet the moment we got home, he yanked my hair and rained blows upon me. My second pregnancy was also his cruel doing. When I was 5 months along, he forced scalding water and abortion pills down my throat. The burns left me voiceless forever. While blood poured from between my legs, I lay prostrate on the ground, desperately trying to call for help, yet he yanked my hair, forcing me to lift my head. "Yen Yushi, if it weren't for you, Shanshan wouldn't have died. If not for you, would I have become the Yen family's live-in son-in-law, mocked and despised by all? How could someone like you be worthy of bearing a child of the Zhou family? Yen Yushi, you're utterly beneath me. Every ounce of suffering you endure now is just atonement for the sins of your Yen family." Tears mingled with blood trailed slowly down my face. The Yen family's crime. Is the Yen family's crime simply helping Zhou Xijin after his father went bankrupt from that pig butchering scam? My stomach, it hurts so bad. My heart's beating all wrong. Each thump feels like it's draining the last of my strength. My mouth gaped open as I struggled to breathe. But that final gasp of air never came. Consciousness faded, leaving only Zhou Xijin's terrifying, twisted visage burned into my mind. If there's a next life, too, Yen Yushi, I'm pregnant, a voice whispered in my ear, brimming with smugness and ostentation, laced with a touch of bravado. "That's your boyfriend Zhou Xijin's child," whispered my roommate Yu Shanshan into my ear. The scene felt vaguely familiar. The slightly cramped dorm room permeated with mingling scents of perfume, soap, face powder, and the musty odor of mildew. "Stop playing the innocent little flower. If you're sick, you shouldn't even be here studying." Yu Shanshan's voice hissed in my ear again. I pinched my thigh hard, double-checking. Had I really traveled back in time, reborn as a college sophomore? Yu Shanshan strutted over like a victorious rooster, smugly announcing she was pregnant with my boyfriend Zhou Xijin's child. In my past life, Zhou Xijin was my entire world at that moment. Blinded by rage, I slapped her across the face. I stormed over to confront Zhou Xijin in a rage, and the emotional outburst left me with heart palpitations that sent me to the hospital. My mom rushed to the hospital overnight and gave Zhou Xijin a piece of her mind. Zhou Xijin became all meek and submissive in front of my mother. Later, Mom comforted me, saying, "Young couples always have their spats. It's nothing to worry about." Later, Yu Shanshan hemorrhaged during an abortion at an unlicensed clinic, resulting in 2 lives lost. Normally, Zhou Xijin would have faced school disciplinary action for such a scandal, but my mother paid for PR damage control and gave Yu's family hefty compensation. The whole incident was forcibly swept under the rug. Steadying myself, I smiled faintly at Yu Shanshan and said, "Congratulations. Are you planning to keep this child?" Naturally, Yu Shanshan arched her brows, her smugness written all over her face. "Yen Yushi, you won't blame me, will you?" Yu Shanshan leaned in, speaking with saccharine sweetness. For stealing your wealthy boyfriend, sigh. It's not like I had a choice. Si-jin said you're rigid and boring. Heh, you'd better focus on your studies. Si-jin mentioned you're preparing for grad school. Starting early never hurts. I'm going on a date today. Si-jin's taking me to a Michelin-starred restaurant. I nodded with a carefree smile and said, you'd better hurry then. See you. The moment Yu Shanshan left the dorm, leaving me alone, I immediately called my mom. Hearing my mother's voice again after 2 lifetimes, I suddenly felt tears welling up. What's wrong, Yushi? Mom asked anxiously, noticing the strain in my voice. She added that while studying hard at school is important, I should also remember to rest. Don't worry, Mom, I said with a smile. I just wanted to say we can stop supporting Zhou Sijin now that he's in college. Back when Zhou Sijin started university, Mom had mentioned that since we weren't related, funding him through college was already more than enough. In my past life, I was blind to fall head over heels for Zhou Sijin at first sight. I threw tantrums repeatedly, demanding my mother provide him the same privileges as my living standards. I even claimed Zhou Sijin's academic excellence would qualify him for postgraduate studies. After graduation, he could assist my father in managing the family business. Indeed, everything in that previous life unfolded exactly according to my life blueprint. Zhou Sijin studied hard, took the postgraduate entrance exam, and joined our family company. Everyone knew he was the Yan's chosen son-in-law, and my parents had only me, their sole daughter. Everything fell perfectly into place. Little did I know, my wholehearted devotion would open the door to a wolf in sheep's clothing. Mom didn't ask if I'd quarreled with Zhou Sijin. 3. Instead, she told me Zhou didn't seem like a good match, and she'd already had our birth charts analyzed. We're fundamentally incompatible. I know, Mom, let's freeze his credit cards today, I said obediently, hanging up. I wondered if Mom would act fast enough to leave Zhou stranded with his Michelin-starred dinner bill tonight. Little did I know at the time that Zhou Sijin, trying to impress Yu Shanshan with his wealthy playboy persona, had taken her to a Michelin 3-star restaurant and reserved an outrageously expensive private dining room. When the bill came, he discovered his credit card had been frozen. In a panic, he immediately called my mother. Sijin, I texted you this afternoon. You're already a junior about to graduate. The Yan family won't be supporting you anymore, my mother said before abruptly hanging up. But Zhou Sijin completely ignored the message from my mom, or perhaps subconsciously blocked it out. Left with no choice, he called me instead. The moment I answered, Zhou Sijin launched into accusations before I could even speak. Yan Yushi, is this some kind of joke your family's playing, so your mom can just freeze my card whenever she feels like it? You think I'm some naive kid you can push around? Just because you got some dirty money, you think you can do whatever you want and humiliate me? Humiliate me, I sneered inwardly. In that past life, every moment with Zhou Sijin was spent catering to his ridiculously fragile ego. He constantly gaslit me, calling me a spoiled princess too privileged to understand real hardship. I lowered myself, tiptoeing around his moods, feeding his manipulation until his psychological abuse twisted me into a mental wreck, and everyone bought his narrative. In this life, I'll just keep smiling like this. Zhou Sijin, my family planned to cut off your financial support when you entered college. After all, we're not a charity organization, but out of respect for my father's wartime camaraderie with yours, we decided to fund you for 2 more years. Now you're a junior, 1 more year till graduation. Surely you can manage part-time work by then. Relying on relatives and friends isn't a long-term solution, I said with a laugh. We won't insult your dignity with handouts. The dorm's about to turn off lights. Goodbye. With that, I hung up the phone without hesitation, but soon enough, Zhou Sijin called back, fuming with rage. Yan Yushi, you're doing this on purpose. Can't stand to see me doing well, can you? It's just a few bucks from your family. Must you hold it over my head like this? What's the big idea? Just because I used your family's money, I have to become your live-in son-in-law, or what? Your family will freeze my cards. Yan Yushi, who exactly am I disgusting here? Unfazed, I chuckled softly. Zhou Sijin, you're really overestimating yourself. Those intimate words we exchanged under the same roof were just youthful recklessness. Did you actually take them seriously? Who'd even bother manipulating trash like you? Oh right, your dad was lovesick and got slaughtered like a pig. What's wrong? Caught the lovesickness bug too. Don't bother me unless it's important. With that, I hung up and blocked the number. How he settled the restaurant bill was his own problem, it being the weekend. Yu Shanshan didn't return until Sunday evening. She even brought gifts for our other 2 roommates, eagerly bragging about how wealthy her boyfriend was. He owns a small duplex apartment near campus. Listen up, you lucky ducks. I'm moving out of the dorms. Yu Shanshan twirled around the room with a smug grin. This dorm is way too cramped for 4 people, I'll move out so you'll have more space. Humph. Zhou Xijin had always maintained his rich playboy persona in front of Yu Shanshan. With his tall, elegant frame and refined features, he turned heads among female students whenever he drove my Porsche around campus. I never called him out on it. In fact, I even went out of my way to cover for him. As for now, there's no way I'd let Yu Shanshan move into my place. The car. I already made 2 calls yesterday demanding Zhou Xijin return it. He picked up the first call. When I called again, he blocked my number. No worries, I'll report this to the police, with a luxury car involved. The police take it seriously. I should get their response by tomorrow. The police were far more efficient than I'd anticipated. Around 7 p.m., the police called saying they'd found my car, but it had been impounded at a Michelin-starred restaurant, and I needed to go sort it out. Without hesitation, I changed clothes and headed out. Yushi, going out at this hour, got a hot date? Yu Shanshan teased deliberately. Yeah, I said cheerfully, I'll bring you guys some bubble tea when I get back. I took a taxi to the restaurant, and the police had already arrived. I handed the police the documents I'd prepared the day before, the car purchase invoice, contract, vehicle registration, etc. The officer asked me, "Did you lend your car to a young man named Zhou Xijin?" I nodded obediently and explained to the officers that Zhou Xijin's father and mine were former comrades in arms. He came to borrow my car recently. And I agreed, but he never returned it, and just a few days ago, he blocked all contact with me. Left with no choice, I had to report this to the police. I'd already explained all this when filing the report and provided Zhou Xijin's contact details among other information. Since Zhou Xijin hadn't paid the restaurant bill, they naturally wouldn't let me drive the car away, so the police contacted Zhou Xijin and asked him to come over. At first he refused, but changed his mind when the police threatened to charge him with auto theft if he didn't show up. It wasn't until after 9 p.m., after repeated police, that Zhou Xijin finally showed up. The moment he saw me, he snapped, "Yan Yushi, what the hell do you want? So what if I borrowed your car for a bit?" Even the cops couldn't tolerate his attitude and gave him a proper dressing down. Mediation. Zhou Xijin's defense was simple. He's a broke student with frozen credit cards, promising to pay the restaurant next month when his allowance comes through. I'm taking my car back right now. Unbelievably, he suggested I should pay the restaurant bill in exchange for getting my car back. Of course I refused. I told him his actions were illegal. Borrowing my car without returning it and secretly using it as collateral constitutes unlawful possession of property. Now he either returns my car immediately, or I'll have my lawyer begin legal proceedings. The officers also urged him to settle the restaurant bill first and return my car, since it's already escalated to police involvement. Informing your parents really isn't that big of a deal. Zhou Xijin started making calls to both my parents. My mom didn't answer, and though my dad picked up, he immediately hung up upon hearing the request for money. Right in front of me, he cursed angrily under his breath. "So what if you're rich? No son means your bloodline ends with you. How vile." Then, he started borrowing money from his classmates. After managing to borrow some but still coming up short, he wrote an IOU to the restaurant, promising to pay in a few days. With police mediation, the restaurant agreed. I drove to the coveted duplex at Haitang Huafu that Yu Shanshan had been eyeing, changed the access code, and notified the property security that Zhou Xijin wasn't the owner, warning them not to let him in. Naturally, I wouldn't allow anyone else to live in my home. By the time I finished handling all the errands and got back to the dorm, it was almost 10 p.m. I even brought milk tea for our other 2 roommates. Yu Shanshan, her eyes red, blocked my path. "Yan Yushi, what's your problem? Chasing after someone else's boyfriend knowingly? Have you no shame?" I burst out laughing and said, "Yu Shanshan, even by the order of first come first served, you'd still be the other woman." 5. Also, you seem to have misunderstood something. With an amused smile, I continued, "That Zhou Xijin you treasure so much, he's just the son of my father's comrade in arms. We happened to know each other when he stayed at our place during high school for a while. Nothing more than that. Rest assured, there's nothing between us. I won't stand in the way of your gold-digging ambitions." I said it loud and clear, with conviction that couldn't be ignored. Yu Shanshan seemed convinced and asked, "Really?" "Absolutely," I replied. "If you don't believe me, I can post an official statement on the school bulletin board. Honestly, it's you I'm worried about." I shrugged. "Now that you're pregnant, this tiny dorm isn't ideal. With all our roughhousing, one accidental bump could be serious. You should move out sooner rather than later. See, since learning about your pregnancy, I've stopped bringing you boba tea. If anything happened from it, I couldn't live with myself." When my other two roommates heard Yu Shanshan was pregnant, their faces froze in complete shock. Universities don't actually prohibit relationships or marriage, but we're only sophomores, still financially dependent on our parents and focused on our studies. Nobody would be reckless enough to risk an unplanned pregnancy. Only someone as clueless as Yu Shanshan would try trapping a man with a baby. She's also blind, mistaking a deadbeat loser for some wealthy Prince Charming. This life, I'll let them have their way. Let's see how far their love can go, whether it'll truly last forever. Yu Shanshan stared at the bag in my hand, a limited edition Hermes that my aunt gave me for my 18th birthday. She'd been to my duplex apartment before and recognized it, so she grabbed me again, this time with such force that my arm actually ached. Yan Yushi, you almost had me fooled. Stop playing innocent, you're clearly taking advantage while pretending otherwise. You've never even met Zhou Sijin, so how did his bag end up with you? She pointed at the bag in my hand. You just can't stand to see me happy and deliberately latched onto him. He told me you'd been clinging to him all this time, just because your fathers were comrades in arms. Laughing off her accusation, I said, you doubt everything I say. Why don't you call Zhou Sijin yourself and ask him? Put it on speaker, better yet, video call. Let's settle this properly so you won't keep suspecting me of being a homewrecker. That's not a label I can afford to wear, I chuckled. My other two roommates kept nodding while sipping their bubble tea, being nothing but spectators enjoying the drama. Yu Shanshan froze for a moment. I knew she'd been worried sick when I stepped out earlier. She'd even called Zhou Sijin. God knows what was going through Zhou Sijin's mind when he told her I was desperately clinging to him, and that he was just humoring me out of respect for our parents' friendship. He's probably just showing off out of vanity. My two roommates chimed in, urging Yu Shanshan to quickly make a video call to Zhou Sijin for clarification. Pressured by us, Yu Shanshan finally made the video call to Zhou Sijin. 6. Shanshan, it's so late. Why aren't you asleep? What's all this about? Zhou Sijin's voice clearly carried impatience over the call. Honestly, I'd be pissed too, scraping together every penny, borrowing left and right, yet still coming up short for a single Michelin-starred meal. His carefully crafted Playboy air persona crumbled instantly. How could he not be furious? Unfortunately, Yu Shanshan remained completely oblivious. Her voice turned sugary sweet, laced with a hint of a whimper. Sijin, I saw Yanyexi carrying that bag, the limited edition Hermes you mentioned. The one displayed in your window. You promised it to me. Oh, that pitiful little tone of hers. On the phone, Zhou Sijin replied irritably, Shanshan, it's just a bag. She kept pestering me, and out of respect for our family's friendship, I casually gave it to her. I cut him off mid-sentence and raised my voice. Zhou Sijin, let's get this straight. When exactly did you ever give me a limited edition Hermes bag? Zhou Sijin clearly hadn't expected Yu Shanshan to put the video call on speaker. He froze instantly. I pressed on. Zhou Sijin, explain this properly to your girlfriend right now. Stop dragging me into your mess, or I'll sue you both for defamation. My outburst seemed to trigger Zhou Sijin's temper. He snapped, what's your problem, Shanshan? It's just some stupid bag. I'll buy you one tomorrow. With that, the call abruptly ended, yet the explanation remained vague, leaving Yu Shanshan pale with fury, as if nursing deep grievances. She climbed into bed and sobbed quietly through most of the night. The next afternoon, Zhou Sijin dragged me behind the school grove and demanded coldly, Yan Yushi, what exactly are you trying to pull? He had one hand planted on the tree behind me in that cliché Cabotin pose, probably thought he looked super cool. I stepped around the tree to put distance between us, just watching him silently. Yushi, I'll chalk up yesterday's incident to you acting childish and forgive you. Transfer 50 grand to me, and you'd better explain to your parents exactly what you told them yourself. If I don't see the money next month, we're through. Got it? As he spoke, he actually reached out and grabbed my chin. I smacked his hand away hard, real hard, staring at the payment QR code on his phone. I sneered, what are you, a beggar? Shamelessly holding out your hand for money, have you no self-respect? Zhou Sijin's face flushed crimson with rage and humiliation, his features contorting into something almost monstrous. How dare you humiliate me? You served yourself up for humiliation, I shouted back. The school grove was barely private, just a few trees by the roadside where students constantly passed by. Zhou Sijin's face instantly fell. The guy was cripplingly insecure with a fragile ego, and nothing stung him more than being called poor. He shoved me hard, making me stagger backward. Then hissed through clenched teeth, keep your voice down, what's all this fuss about? If you're scared I'll make a scene. Why'd you come looking for me? I said pointedly, you want to buy your girlfriend a bag, and you come asking me for money. Am I your dad or your mom? No money, no skills. What kind of big spender act are you pulling? Just get a tote bag, I said loudly. A crowd of onlookers had gathered by the roadside, watching the scene unfold. Yan Yushi. What the hell are you trying to pull? Aren't you ashamed? Zhou Sijin yelled at me. I've got nothing to be ashamed of, I shot back. The real embarrassment is someone pretending to be big shot when they're broke. With that, I turned on my heel and walked away. Zhou Sijin's voice came from behind, seething with rage. Yan Yushi, you'll regret this. Of course I wouldn't regret it. I deliberately drove that Porsche to campus, making a grand entrance all the way to the small parking lot near the dorms. Predictably, Yu Shanshan couldn't take it anymore and came at me with a tear-streaked face, ready for a showdown. 7. Yan Yushi, you're going back on your word. What's the point of clinging to brother Sijin like this? She then shouted loudly, classmates, be the judge of this. Zhou Sijin and I are dating, yet Yan Yushi keeps making scenes and harassing him knowingly. She's fully aware she's the other woman. With the dorm door open, neighbors couldn't resist poking their heads out, eager for the juiciest gossip. Seeing enough spectators had gathered, I finally laughed. Yu Shanshan, what's your game here? When did you ever see me chasing Zhou Sijin? I've been avoiding him like the plague. You're driving his car and still have the nerve to say that. Yu Shanshan jabbed her finger inches from my face, her tone dripping with accusation. With a cold laugh, I swatted her hand away and pulled the vehicle registration from my bag. Take a good look yourself. Whose name's on this? I flung the document at her. Any halfway sensible person knows the registration must bear the owner's name. Bullshit. This is Sijin's car. Yu Shanshan spat venomously. Yan Yushi, you forged this. Amused by her antics, I said, Yu Shanshan, have you been watching too many dramas? Must you invent imaginary rivals? Why don't you call Zhou Sijin and ask who actually owns this car? Stop spouting nonsense about this three-nose business. Not everyone is like you, obsessing over romance. 247, raising my voice, I added, let all classmates bear witness. While I know Zhou Sijin, there's absolutely nothing between us. Learning from last time, Yu Shanshan stepped outside to make the call. I came back sobbing uncontrollably for a long time. I used to keep a low profile and never cared much about bags, clothes or jewelry. Now I'm deliberately going wild online, browsing this and that, even consulting my two roommates about which bag I should buy, Chanel or LV. Yu Shanshan was visibly restless, clearly annoyed by our noise. Hey Shanshan, didn't your boyfriend mention that duplex apartment near campus? Weren't you planning to move out? Maybe you should move out sooner rather than later. With 4 people sharing one dorm room, how can anyone expect complete quiet? My two roommates were playing good cop bad cop. At our words, Yu Shanshan sat aside silently weeping, claiming we'd bullied her. 2 days later, the Chanel bag I'd ordered through a shopping agent arrived. Yu Shanshan came over, dug her ridiculously long nails into my bag, and sneered, knockoff, isn't it? I shoved the receipt right in her face without hesitation. Even if it's a knockoff, I paid good money for it. Damage it, and I'll make you pay. Yan Yushi, where'd you get the money for that bag? Yu Shanshan asked me. My boyfriend's loaded, I said with a smirk. Unlike yours, you're pregnant yet still crammed in this tiny dorm with us. Can't even get you a decent bag, let alone proper meals. Yu Shanshan, is your boyfriend even reliable? Nothing hurts like comparison. Yu Shanshan had pinned all her hopes on seducing Zhou Sijin to marry into wealth overnight and flaunt her social climbing. A brutal slap in the face to everyone. Now that I'd humiliated her so publicly, she took out her frustration by making a scene with Zhou Sijin. Lately, I bought 3 bags, 2 Chanel's and 1 Louis Vuitton. I also got 2 gold bracelets, a pair of jade earrings, and a Rolex watch. Yu Shanshan was seething with jealousy, crying to Zhou Sijin every single day. What could Zhou Sijin possibly do? Come on. In his heart, Yu Shanshan was his one true love. Strapped for cash, he began scrambling for money, applying for credit cards, online loans, and the like. He showered Yu Shanshan with lavish outings, meticulously crafting his image as a wealthy charmer. He'd been pawning off the luxury items he bought with my family's money, and finally scraped together enough to get Yu Shanshan a handbag. That bag became Yu Shanshan's dormitory bragging rights for days. I deliberately remarked to her, Shanshan, luxury items only look good as full sets. That basic LV bag of yours, a bit tacky for a standalone piece. Your boyfriend's the heir to Shuixing Group, surely he isn't stingy enough to skip buying you clothes. Yu Shanshan's expression darkened. 8. Shuixing Group is my family's company. When I first heard from Yu Shanshan that Zhou Sijin was the young master of Shuixing Group, I was utterly stunned, so I started helping him refine his persona. As the heir of the Shuixing conglomerate, pocket change like this should be nothing to you, so I kept egging Yu Shanshan on. Soon enough, Yu Shanshan started pestering Zhou Xijin nonstop for this and that, making a huge scene. On top of that, her morning sickness was brutal. She'd vomit everything she ate and hog the bathroom retching constantly. The fact that she never cleaned up after herself naturally pissed everyone off, so we unanimously demanded that she move out. We also reported this to the dorm supervisor. Upon learning about her pregnancy, the dorm supervisor feared any incidents might cost her the job. Furious, she gave the girl 3 days to vacate, threatening to escalate the matter to school administrators otherwise. Yu Shanshan obviously had no intention of squeezing into the dorm with us. She'd been eyeing my duplex apartment for ages, so she went crying to Zhou Xijin again. Zhou Xijin approached me about borrowing my duplex for a while. I turned him down flat, left with no choice. He ended up renting a place in Haitang Huafu instead. The rent is ridiculously high. In just 3 months, credit card and online loan payments became overdue, with both banks and lenders demanding repayment. Even the money he borrowed from his shady friends, they're now hounding him for repayment too. When the lease expired, the landlord came demanding renewal fees, leading to a heated argument with Yu Shanshan. Yu Shanshan flew into a rage, yelling at the landlord, "My husband is the young master of the Zhuosheng conglomerate. Do you really think we'd stiff you on rent?" Ironically, the landlord happened to know me personally and burst out laughing in exasperation. She told Yu Shanshan point blank, "The Zhuosheng Group's chairman only has one precious daughter. Where exactly did this young master come from?" Yu Shanshan's facade instantly crumbled. Despite her heavily pregnant state, she barged into the school and stormed into Zhou Xijin's classroom mid-lecture, causing a huge scene. Zhou Xijin's face was scratched, and textbooks were thrown everywhere across the desk. Of course, Yu Shanshan didn't get off lightly either. He grabbed her by the hair and slapped her multiple times. The elderly professor couldn't stand it any longer and ordered them to be pulled apart, then arranged for Yu Shanshan to be taken to the hospital. I didn't hear about this until the afternoon, then spent hours gossiping with my 2 roommates trying to piece together the whole drama. My roommate even asked me, "Since your dad and Zhou Xijin's father served together, is he really the heir to the Zhuosheng Group fortune?" "Not a chance," I said with a chuckle, biting my straw. "He's got absolutely zero connection to Zhuosheng Group." At dusk, after dinner at the campus cafeteria, I walked back to the dorm scrolling through my phone. A man suddenly emerged from the shadows, grabbed me in a tight embrace and tried to kiss me. I screamed in terror and smashed my phone against his head with all my might. "Yushi, it's me, stop fussing," Zhou Xijin murmured under the dim streetlight, gazing at me with affection. "Yushi, I've missed you so damn much." I burst out laughing. "Zhou Xijin, your girlfriend's heavily pregnant, and you're telling me you miss me? Spare me the act, you don't deserve to miss me." With that, I turned to leave. Zhou Xijin grew frantic, blocking my path as he cried out, "Yushi, please listen." I was momentarily bewitched by her, but now I see clearly, you're the one I truly love. Just give me some money, and I'll take her to get an abortion, then I'll break up with her, and we can live happily together. Yushi, I promise I'll love you properly. He'd said something similar in his past life, right after Yu Shanshan's miscarriage. In my past life, I don't know what came over me. I clearly knew he bore undeniable responsibility for Yu Shanshan's death. Even my mother warned me, a man who cheats while in a relationship is no good match. Yet I stubbornly refused to listen or believe, lost in my own romantic delusions. I met a tragic end. In this lifetime, I've just heard the most ridiculous joke. "Zhou Xijin, how dare you speak of love?" A flicker of embarrassment crossed Zhou Xijin's face, but he forced an apologetic smile. "Yushi, I was wrong," he said. "Go ahead, hit me if you must." 9. With that, he actually grabbed my hand and pressed it against his cheek. I frantically shook off his hand, then vigorously wiped mine with a look of utter disgust. "Zhou Xijin, are you blind to your own filth? Keep your hands to yourself, you make me sick." With that, I turned toward the dormitory. He blocked my path again, his face darkening as he growled, "Yan Yushi, stop making a scene. So what if I slept with another woman? How long are you going to keep this up?" I've already swallowed my pride to apologize. "What more do you want from me? You want me to get down on my knees and beg? If you weren't playing the pure maiden and refusing to let me touch you, would I have needed to find someone else?" His words sent my blood boiling, and I snapped, "Zhou Xijin, have you even looked at yourself in the mirror? You're nothing but a stray dog. My family only took you in out of pity. You, dreaming of me, in your wildest dreams, no mirror at home. Piss in a puddle and take a good look at yourself." After the verbal lashing, I headed straight for the girls' dormitory. That evening, Yu Shanshan gave me a call. "Yan Yushi, so you're actually the little princess of Zhuosheng Group?" she asked me. "My father is the founder and chairman of Zhuosheng Group. I'm his daughter." not some princess, I replied flatly. Why didn't you tell me? He's nothing. His family has no money, only debts. Sobs. What am I going to do? Yu Shanshan was crying, sobbing uncontrollably right there on the phone. Get an abortion, come back to study properly, I said. Graduate. Land a decent job, then live your life right. For her, this was the wisest course of action. Our university is a top-tier institution. The degree carries real weight and gives graduates a competitive edge. I reminded her over the phone to make sure she went to a proper hospital for the abortion. After all, she died from a botched abortion in her previous life. Worried, I called our family driver Uncle Wang and asked him to get some people to keep an eye on Yu Shanshan. Over a week later during class, Uncle Wang called. Miss, it's bad, that woman hemorrhaged during the abortion. I had Xiao Wu and the others rush her to a major hospital. I was busy wiring some money to Uncle Wang, insisting he must keep Yu Shanshan alive at all costs. If she dies, wouldn't that be letting that scumbag Zhou Xijin off too easily? Yu Shanshan's life was saved. But the doctor said her miscarriage occurred when the baby was already over 5 months along, nearly 6. That back alley clinic botched the procedure, massive bleeding, infection, the works. Even if I recover, I'll never be able to have children again. 10. After Yu Shanshan's miscarriage, Zhou Xijin pulled out all the stops to pursue me. His antics gave me splitting headaches, so I had no choice but to call the police. The officers gave him a stern warning. As we stepped out of the police station, he blocked my path and declared, Yushi, we're meant to be together. This time I won't let you down, you have my word. My instincts zeroed in on the loaded words he'd chosen. Though suspicious, I didn't press him, just scoffed instead. Zhou Xijin, what exactly are you bringing to the table? Your failing company, that mortgaged condo, or that grubby little carrot of yours? What do you have besides that mountain of debt weighing you down? Keep harassing me and I'll have you charged with disorderly conduct. See how you like jail. With that, I got in the car and drove off without another word. Zhou Xijin didn't contact me for a whole week, which struck me as odd. Logically speaking, he'd never give up that easily. The man's utterly vain. Otherwise, he wouldn't have impersonated me to pursue relationships, and to him, I'm the perfect shortcut. That night, around midnight, Uncle Wang suddenly called me. Miss, something terrible has happened, something truly disastrous. Uncle Wang, what's wrong? I asked urgently. Yu Shanshan stabbed Zhou Xijin over 10 times. I was shocked and immediately asked, did he die? Zhou Xijin survived, but that woman is dead. Uncle Wang said Zhou Xijin turned the tables and killed him instead. Zhou Xijin only sustained minor injuries elsewhere, but lost most of his manhood. I still don't know how Yu Shanshan managed that, yet Yu Shanshan was killed with a single fatal strike. In this lifetime, she didn't die from the abortion, but was killed by Zhou Xijin's own hand. The police classified this case as mutual combat, and Zhou Xijin was sentenced to 8 years for involuntary manslaughter. Inside the prison, he kept pestering relentlessly, demanding to see me, through the glass partition, holding the receiver. I looked at Zhou Xijin in his prison jumpsuit and smiled. This outcome pleases me greatly. Why did you save her? He asked me. I consented. That stupid woman was meant to die in that clinic. It was her fate. If she'd died, we could have lived happily. You would have forgiven me. Yan Yushi, you love me, don't you? I tapped the microphone and sneered. Zhou Xijin, wake up. Love you. Are you out of your mind? I came to see just how miserable your life has become. Yet he produced a forged psychiatric evaluation, telling the police I had severe mental illness. Isn't she your one true love? Didn't you say she wouldn't die without me? That's why I won't let her die on that abortion table. With those words, I hung up the phone. I saw the unmistakable shock, terror, and fury flashing in Zhou Xijin's eyes. Zhou Xijin's days in prison were miserable, penniless, powerless, and utterly broken. Everyone looked down on him, itching for a chance to beat him up. 2 years later, during my college graduation ceremony, Uncle Wang called to tell me Zhou Xijin had died. 11. Uncle Wang said he couldn't endure the inmates' relentless bullying anymore. When the guards weren't looking, he bashed his head against the cell wall, died on the spot. The moment I heard Zhou Xijin had died, an immense relief washed over me. A smile blossomed across my face. In this lifetime, I'm finally free from his shadow. The end. Story 2. My husband is dead. Because his first love committed suicide. Before she died, his first love left a letter. I wish I could be your wife in the next life. Lu Jinan seemed calm at that time, but that night, I heard the sound of running water in the bathroom. When I pushed the door open, I found Lu Jinan lying in the bathtub. Next to him was a letter with bold, scrawled handwriting. Okay, I'm coming to find you. After 5 years of marriage, I never knew that Lu Jinan was so deeply in love with her. When I opened my eyes, I was reborn back to my high school days. I said to Lu Jinan, who was earnestly doing test papers under the classroom fan, "Let me tell you a secret, Lin Tang will be your future wife." Lu Jinan and I were childhood sweethearts, and now we have been married for 5 years. At night, I hugged Lu Jinan tightly from behind, rubbing my cheek against the back of his neck. "For our wedding anniversary, you promised to go to Haisha with me to see the sea." Lu Jinan kissed my face and said softly, "Okay." Before boarding the plane, Lu Jinan started to be absent-minded for some reason. He asked me, "Can we not go?" "What?" I was busy looking up travel guides and didn't hear him clearly. Lu Jinan lowered his eyelashes and touched my cheek with his fingertips. "It's nothing." When we arrived in Haisha by plane, the sea breeze was gentle and cool. However, Lu Jinan looked pale and said he was airsick, so he went back to the hotel, worried. I turned back to the hotel to find him. When I opened the door, Lu Jinan wasn't resting. Instead, he was pacing back and forth, making phone calls. An unusual look of anxiety and restlessness appeared on his stern face, but no one answered the calls on the other end. I asked with concern, "What's wrong?" Lu Jinan was startled, quickly put down his phone, and forced a smile at me. "It's okay. I can't get in touch with the company's HR manager." Lu Jinan was a real workaholic and hadn't had a vacation for several years. Once I asked Lu Jinan why he worked so hard. He pinched my nose affectionately and smiled. "To support you, my little princess." I went over and leaned my head gently on Lu Jinan's chest. "Don't work too hard, I feel." He hugged me and smiled. "Okay." I didn't notice that his voice was slightly hoarse. I dragged Lu Jinan to try the signature barbecue there. The freshly served barbecue smelled delicious and was sizzling with heat. I ate heartily, but Lu Jinan kept looking at his phone and seemed to find the food tasteless. I took his phone domineeringly and put it in my coat pocket. Lu Jinan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The barbecue restaurant was indoors, and there was a LCD TV in front of the tables and chairs. The TV was broadcasting the latest entertainment news. The serious female anchor reported, at 9 a.m. this morning. The famous actress Lin Tang was found dead at home. The cause of death was severe depression. She took an overdose of sleeping pills, and foul play has been ruled out. Before her death, Lin Tang wrote a suicide note, which read, "I wish I could be your wife in the next life." As is known to all, Lin Tang never married or had children in her life and dedicated all her energy to her acting career. Now, her suicide due to love is truly tragic. With a clatter, the chopsticks in Lu Jinan's hand fell on the wooden floor, making a loud noise. I looked at Lu Jinan and found that his face was as pale as paper. His dark pupils were trembling violently, and his pale lips were moving, but no sound came out. I had never seen Lu Jinan, who was always calm and composed, in such a state. After a while, Lu Jinan finally came to his senses. He pursed his lips slightly and calmed down, saying, "It's okay, I'm just a little dizzy." After that, Lu Jinan seemed normal. He even went on a cruise with me and walked through the lavender fields, I in happiness but ignored the suppressed despair hidden in his eyes. In the middle of the night, I heard an unusual sound of running water while I was sleeping. I got up and pushed open the bathroom door. I was shocked by the scene in front of me. Lu Jinan was lying face up in the bathtub filled with water. The blood flowing from his left wrist had dyed the entire bathtub red, and his right hand hung down, feebly holding a blood-stained knife. I cried and tried to pull Lu Jinan out. Lu Jinan was on the verge of death. He whispered, his voice as faint as a mosquito's, but it rang in my ears like a thunderclap. "Lin Tang, I love you, too." These words echoed in my mind. Even when the ambulance arrived and the medical staff rushed to carry Lu Jinan onto the stretcher, I still couldn't react. I waited outside the emergency room all night like a walking corpse. When the operating room lights went out, the doctor came out, took off his mask, and said to me regretfully, "Sorry, we did our best." My legs went weak, and I stumbled twice before collapsing to the ground. In my heart, besides sadness, there was more confusion. Before I followed the ambulance to the hospital, I saw a letter that had been blown to the ground next to Lu Jinan. His handwriting was bold and vigorous, and with the most passionate and profound emotions, he wrote, "Okay, I'm coming to find you." My heart was shattered by these 5 words, and tears of disbelief welled up in my eyes instantly. In high school, Lin Tang was Lu Jinan's first love, but during all the years we were together, Lin Tang never appeared in our lives. While waiting for the operation, I took out Lu Jinan's phone, which I had always kept in my coat pocket and never looked through before. I was shaking so violently that I could barely hold the phone. After unlocking the phone, I realized that the calls he said were to the department manager were actually all made to a strange number in another place. The note was, "Little darling, My heart constricted when I saw this address. Just 10 minutes before we boarded the plane, little darling, sent Lu Jin in the last message. I'm really, really tired. I still can't stand seeing you with someone else. I wish you and your wife a happy life. See you in the next life. The next second, Lu Jinan replied urgently, what's wrong? Don't scare me, Lin Tang. I give up. Okay, I'll divorce her. But Lin Tang never replied again. My heart was torn apart by Lu Jinan's words, I'll divorce her, and the excruciating pain spread through my body. I remembered Lu Jinan's strange behavior on the plane. He wore headphones to listen to music but frowned and fidgeted restlessly. There were several pages of red mist, call records. Lu Jinan, who was always cold and distant, persistently made call after call. Lu Jinan was always rational and steady and had never lost his composure in front of me like this before. But now, he had followed his little darling and left me behind. 3. I returned home from Haishur and couldn't recover for many days. After graduation, I had no contact with Lin Tang and never knew that Lu Jinan was so deeply in love with her. All the years I had spent with Lu Jinan seemed like a lie. I had never really known the real him. The storm continued. Lu Jinan's suicide became known. The timing was too coincidental, and they were even from the same class and the same graduating class at Bailin High School. Some people quickly dug up the relationship between Lu Jinan and Lin Tang in their youth and posted it on a video sharing website. It went viral overnight, during their sentimental school days. He laughed and she played, but later, for unknown reasons, they went their separate ways and never expressed their hidden love again. They shined in different fields, but no matter how high they climbed, they no longer had the right to embrace each other. My heart was completely empty, and I numbly watched those videos over and over again. When Lu Jinan attended corporate events in a suit, his eyes never left Lin Tang, who was invited onto the stage in a red dress. His eyes were filled with nostalgia and pain. On Lu Jinan's Weibo private account, he wished Lin Tang a happy birthday at 0:00 on the same day every year. He posted a picture of the little rabbit that Lin Tang liked the most and said cautiously and affectionately, "Happy birthday, Lin Tang." Even the cheap wristwatch that Lu Jinan always carried with him and wouldn't let others touch casually was a gift from Lin Tang many years ago. The flamboyant and charming actress and the noble and self-controlled corporate executive loved each other but couldn't be together. They were filled with regret until they'd both died for love. Everyone was in tears, lamenting that they were a real-life version of Liang Shanbua and Zhu Yingtai. And I, the original wife, was like the female Ma Wenkai. I laughed and cried like I had gone crazy. Lu Jinan and I had been childhood sweethearts for 20 years. Even when his family fell on hard times, I found various excuses to help him, for fear of hurting his pride. After graduating from university, I accompanied Lu Jinan to start from scratch. We lived in rental apartments and ate instant noodles. In the biting cold of winter, we hugged each other for warmth in the cold quilt. He kissed me and we imagined all the things we would do in the future. But all this companionship couldn't compare to Lin Tang, who he had only caught a glimpse of in high school. Did my time and youth mean nothing in Lu Jinan's eyes? I never expected that. My private information was dug up. Just as I was on my way to pick up Lu Jinan's ashes, a group of fanatics blocked my way. The leader of the group threw sulfuric acid at me, her face distorted as she shouted, "You mistress who destroyed Lin Tang and Lu Jinan, die." The concentrated sulfuric acid splashed into my eyes and corroded my face. The intense pain was unbearable. I raised my head and stood up, but I was being stared at by the whole class. "Jiang Qianyao, not only did you sleep in my class, but you also talked in your sleep. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because your family is rich." 4. As my mind cleared, my dizzy vision gradually became clear. I saw my high school homeroom teacher looking at me angrily, and I saw Lu Jinan, who was sitting next to me, with a straight posture, wearing a school uniform, and looking straight at the blackboard. He was wearing black, framed glasses at this time, with his hair scattered over his forehead, exuding youthful vitality. I heard someone whispering, "Miss Jiang is pestering Lu Jinan to tutor her again. Too bad she can't improve, and all she does is sleep all day. Lu Jinan must be the top student in the grade, has been taken a fancy to by a rich girl." The homeroom teacher roared, "Jiang Qianyao, come and answer this question. If you can't answer it, stand outside." My university major had nothing to do with science, and I had long forgotten all the knowledge I learned in high school. I looked at the jumping math symbols on the blackboard in a daze. 1/3, a deep voice reminded me. 1/3. Instead of answering with this easy to get answer, I said, "Teacher, I don't know." As soon as I finished speaking, I picked up my textbook and walked out. I saw the surprised look in Lu Jinan's eyes. There was no other reason. Since this answer was given by Lu Jinan, I didn't want it. When I was a teenager, I was playful. After entering the top class, I became the bottom student. I casually entered a second-rate university near Lu Jinan's university, while Lu Jinan was a well-known top student. Relying on our long-standing childhood friendship, whenever I couldn't answer questions in class, Lu Jinan would help me. After Lu Jinan's family fell on hard times, I even paid him a generous salary under the pretext of tutoring fees. Because of my blatant favoritism towards Lu Jinan, many people secretly laughed at me for being Lu Jinan's sycophant, but years later, I started a business with Lu Jinan. I changed from a pampered young lady to someone who could keep going after being repeatedly rejected when seeking investment and being humiliated. Looking at Lu Jinan, who was a bit more immature compared to the future, I felt mixed emotions and hatred welled up in my heart unconsciously. In this life, I will never make the same mistakes again. After class, I stood for a whole class, and my legs were sore. I leaned against the wall and kicked my heels. Then I saw Lu Jinan walking straight towards me with a workbook in his hand. He asked me gently, "Are you tired?" I've explained this question several times. This time, I wrote down the analysis steps. Take a good look at it again. Lu Jinan smiled and handed me the open workbook, which had notes written in red pen. His handwriting was beautiful and neat. Just looking at the handwriting, I remembered that windy and cold night and his 5 bold, passionate words. 2 years ago, Lu Jinan's family went bankrupt overnight. His father fled, and his mother was depressed all day. He was mocked as a down and out noble young man who only had his pride left, and many people came to bully him. I rushed forward to protect him like a proud hen, but in the end, I was the one who was laughed at. In my previous life, after Lu Jinan died, I saw the diary he had saved on his phone long ago. Lin Tang is a ray of light that shines into my hopeless life. As for Jiang Qianyao, she just humiliated me with money when I was at my lowest. I didn't take the workbook and said coldly and distantly, "Lu Jinan, you don't have to come and tutor me after school anymore. I won't use tutoring fees to hurt your fragile self-esteem either." 5. Hearing my words, Lu Jinan's hand holding the workbook paused slightly, then the emotion in his eyes faded, and he said gently, "Stop making trouble. It's our senior year of high school. If I don't tutor you, who will? Are you still mad because I said I regarded you as my little sister yesterday?" Yes, at the age of 18, Lu Jinan was well aware of my crush on him, but at the corner of the stairs yesterday, he casually told someone, "Jiang Qianyao, I just regard her as my dearest little sister." He raised his hand to ruffle my hair to soothe me. His cold eyebrows and eyes showed a hint of affection, which made me sick with its hypocrisy. I swatted his hand away and said coldly, "Don't touch me." His fair hand was slapped red by me. Lu Jinan's face froze. At this time, there was a commotion in the corridor. The classmates who had been playing around suddenly all ran towards the office. I heard someone shouting excitedly, "A beautiful girl has transferred to our class." I checked the date. It was indeed this day. Outside the office, there were so many classmates craning their necks to look inside. They stared at Lin Tang, who was standing in the office, and exclamations of admiration came one after another. There was no other reason. She was really beautiful. She had a slender figure, an oval-shaped face, clear big eyes, and a head of slightly curly hair that fell smoothly over her shoulders, making people want to protect her. In her previous life, she also entered the entertainment industry with that pitiful-looking face, became a popular female star, and captured Lu Jinan's heart that summer. Lin Tang and Jiang Qianyao look a bit alike. Who do you think is prettier? Of course it's Lin Tang. She won the championship in a modeling competition. She has a great figure and good grades. How can Jiang Qianyao, that good-for-nothing vase, compare? Their discussions came one after another, and the smile in Lin Tang's eyes, who was highly sought after, became more and more evident. Just then, a clear voice came from beside me. "I think Yao Yao is prettier." I turned my head and saw Lu Jinan looking nonchalant yet firm. This made everyone look at him in surprise, including Lin Tang, who clearly heard this sentence in the office. Lin Tang gave me a resentful look, with scrutiny and disdain in her eyes. Then she noticed Lu Jinan, who stood out from the crowd, and a strong interest rose in her eyes. She bit her lower lip and said, "This classmate doesn't seem to like me very much." Lu Jinan put his hands in his pockets and said calmly, "I just think my childhood sweetheart is the best." I looked up, and I was reflected in the young man's eyes, but this was nothing but an illusion. I showed a sweet smile and said to Lin Tang, "Classmate, he's lying. He likes your type the most." He liked her so much that he was willing to die for love and give up everything he had worked for. I left Lu Jinan behind and walked away. I didn't care at all about the shocked reactions of everyone present, who looked at each other in disbelief. 6. In the following days, I refused Lu Jinan's repeated offers to tutor me. Lin Tang declared war on me publicly. On the first day, she boldly confessed to Lu Jinan, I like you. I fell in love with you at first sight. Then she sent me the same message as in her previous life. Although I'm new here, I won't show mercy. I replied indifferently, whatever. How did I respond in my previous life? The 18-year-old Jian Qianyao was very proud. Lu Jinan is mine, you definitely can't steal him. The more confident I was then, the more bitterly I cried in the stairwell when Lin Tang won Lu Jinan's heart later. Lin Tang came aggressively, and the atmosphere in the class became delicate. Curious glances kept shifting among the three of us. I didn't care. I stopped sleeping in class every day and started taking serious notes in all subjects. I went to one-on-one tutoring on weekends, trying my best to catch up on the missed lessons. The classmates in the class guessed that I had changed my ways, and the voices speculating that I was playing hard to get gradually faded away. As soon as class was over, I would grab my school bag and head straight to the library. Even if I met Lu Jinan on the way, I would immediately avoid him. Lu Jinan couldn't stand it anymore. He grabbed my arm and blocked my way, looking hurt. What did I do wrong? Why have you been avoiding me? The young Lu Jinan's expression was exactly the same as when we had conflicts after marriage and he was confused about why I was angry. The same thing was that they both had a soul that didn't love me but pretended to. I slowly pulled my hand out of Lu Jinan's. My silence obviously had a different meaning in Lu Jinan's eyes. He sighed and said, "Did what that transfer student said make you unhappy? You're not a child anymore. Don't distance yourself from me because of other people's words." "Okay, Lu Jinan." His words were interrupted. Lin Tang ran over from a distance, with a thin layer of sweat on her nose. She looked at Lu Jinan with a smile. "Jinan, why didn't you tell me you came to the library? Have you eaten the cookies I made? Were they delicious? They're your favorite cranberry flavor." Lin Tang babbled on, showing her undisguised love. Lu Jinan frowned and gave Lin Tang a cold glance. "No, I threw them away." Lin Tang's expression turned sad, but she quickly regained her cheerful look. She reflected on herself. "It's okay. It must be that they didn't look good. So you didn't like them. I'll do better next time." The girl's eyes sparkled, as if the whole world was filled with Lu Jinan. Lu Jinan was stunned, then turned his head awkwardly. I saw a faint blush behind his ears. Looking at it now, Lin Tang was really similar to me, both enthusiastic and reckless in doing things. I lowered my eyes and said, "You two talk slowly. I'm leaving first." Lu Jinan instinctively wanted to follow, but Lin Tang hooked his arm and coquettishly said, "Jinan, I have a problem I don't know how to solve. Can you teach me?" 7. The seats in the class were rearranged. Lin Tang took the opportunity to apply to the homeroom teacher to sit next to Lu Jinan. When the homeroom teacher asked for my opinion, I agreed. Many female classmates came to say I was stupid for giving Lin Tang the chance to take over. I kept writing and drawing with my pen, not caring at all. It doesn't matter. What can be taken away was never mine in the first place. Lu Jinan, who was sitting in front of me, heard this and paused in his writing. Then he was in a bad mood the whole day. After class, Lin Tang, who had pestered Lu Jinan for the whole class, came up to him again to ask questions. Already in a bad mood, he was extremely annoyed. He simply put down his pen and frowned. "Aren't you supposed to have good grades? Why do you come to ask me such a simple question?" Lin Tang bit her lower lip in embarrassment. "But, I'm not the first one to ask you such questions." She glanced at me meaningfully. I raised my eyebrows and held up the test paper full of red check marks in my hand. Not to be outdone, Lin Tang pouted and retorted, "A rich second generation dressed in designer brands must have famous teachers to teach them. Of course, she doesn't need Lu Jinan." Lu Jinan, who was already in a bad temper, became even colder-faced. He said bluntly, "Go away, don't bother me again in the future." Lin Tang didn't expect Lu Jinan to treat her like this. Her eyes immediately filled with tears. She stomped her foot and ran away angrily. Lu Jinan had a gloomy face and a low-pressure aura. It was hard to tell who he was angry with. Lu Jinan buried his head in writing the test paper, and the pen made a rustling sound as it rubbed against the paper. During the summer break, the classroom was empty. The fan above Lu Jinan creaked and spun rapidly, and the wind ruffled his hair. Lu Jinan. I spoke to him for the first time in a long while. He seemed extremely surprised. He looked up, and a glimmer of hope shone in his eyes, like a puppy that had been abandoned and then picked up again. I opened my lips and showed an ambiguous smile. "Let me tell you a secret. Lin Tang will be your future wife. I advise you to be nice to her, so you don't regret it in the future." 8. I rarely saw Lu Jinan so angry. He was like a wild beast holding back boundless anger. He stood up, crumpled the test paper in his hand, and clenched it tightly. You don't have to push me towards others. I'm not a toy to be passed around casually. He was also this angry in his previous life. Once after we got married, I was so angry that I blurted out, "Since you can't stand me, let's just get a divorce." At that time, Lou Jinan also looked like this, with anger, disbelief, and a deep sense of vulnerability in his handsome eyebrows and eyes. He hugged me tightly. Despite his tall and broad figure, I could feel his violent trembling. "Don't say such things. Don't leave me, Yao Yao." The 28-year-old Lou Jinan's voice was broken, just as helpless and scared as when the 16-year-old him came to me in the middle of the night after his family went bankrupt overnight. He acted so well that even after his death, with all the evidence in front of me, I still couldn't believe that during all the years we were together, he had been in love with Lin Tang. 9. After this incident, I completely stopped talking to Lou Jinan. I was glad for the peace. Provoking me almost became Lin Tang's daily amusement. She sent me all kinds of photos of her time with Lou Jinan. For example, Lou Jinan's slender and fair hand covered Lin Tang's much smaller hand as they made pottery together, an extremely intimate scene, or Lou Jinan making detailed study notes for all subjects for Lin Tang, who had fallen behind after transferring from No. 1 middle school to Bailin High School. The notes were even more detailed than the teaching materials he made when tutoring me, or Lou Jinan taking her to watch the sunrise, when Lou Jinan was so tired that he fell asleep and leaned his head on her shoulder. His handsome profile seemed to shine brightly in the morning sun. She almost replicated the things Lou Jinan and I had done. Looking at the photos I posted on my public moments, Lin Tang sent me these photos in my previous life. I was so angry then that I went up to her and slapped her twice with my phone in hand. These photos also made Lou Jinan think that I was deliberately targeting Lin Tang and being unreasonable. After graduating from university, I gave up living in my large villa and lay in a run-down rental apartment. While Lou Jinan focused on technology, I went out to seek investment. We huddled together for warmth after facing repeated rejections and exhaustion. I played with Lou Jinan's fingers and said, "When you become successful in the future, let's travel around the world together, go skiing in Switzerland, and feed the pigeons in Italy." He pinched my nose and promised that he would definitely drop everything and go with me. But as the company thrived, Lou Jinan sold his shares at the peak, cashed out, and joined a more promising company as a CTO. Although there was money, those promises were never mentioned again. Looking at their photos today, I felt nothing inside. I turned around, made a collection of these photos, and posted them on Moments. The caption was simple and clear: "Wish you everlasting love." I didn't block anyone and was completely open about it. Soon, my comment section was flooded with a series of question marks. After a long time, Lou Jinan only replied with one word, "Okay." After this incident, everyone believed that Lou Jinan and I had fallen out, and I finally had some peace and quiet. When the homeroom teacher heard about this, she was very touched. She took me to the office to show her concern. She was so excited that her saliva almost sprayed on my face. "You've made great progress now. Finally, you're not focusing all your attention on Lou Jinan. You're sure to get good grades in the college entrance examination." 10. Lou Jinan gradually opened up his closed heart to Lin Tang. During a rare PE class when we played games and Lin Tang was knocked down and let out a cry, Lou Jinan immediately walked over. His eyes were filled with worry. He pulled Lin Tang up and said roughly, "Are you stupid? Why are you so careless?" When she fell asleep on the desk, Lou Jinan would turn around and use an open book to block the sunlight that shone through the gaps in the blinds, without disturbing anyone. The golden sunlight cast shadows in the classroom. The sleeping girl and her dedicated knight. Finally, Lou Jinan and Lin Tang got together. The gossipy glances of the classmates in the class all drifted towards me from time to time, but I didn't care because I was preparing for the final exam. My grades improved rapidly, not only because I focused my mind but also because I had been tempered by the adult world. When the homeroom teacher announced in surprise that I had ranked among the top 30 in the grade, Lou Jinan, who was immersed in his love with Lin Tang, turned his head and looked at me in surprise. He finally noticed that my long hair, which used to reach my waist like a waterfall, had been cut short to just reach my shoulders, and the colorful beaded bracelet he gave me for my 15th birthday was gone. 11. After school, he hesitated for a moment. Unusually, he didn't leave with Lin Tang but called me, "Yao Yao, where's the bracelet?" He pointed at my wrist. My wrist was empty. Lou Jinan had kept Lin Tang's gift for 10 years, while I had worn this bracelet for 13 years. I threw it away. I threw it in the trash on the first day of my rebirth. Lou Jinan took a deep breath and quickly accepted this fact. Lin Tang and I are together. I know you don't like her, but please get along well with her. She will be your sister-in-law in the future. I smiled. I had chased after Lu Jinan for 5 years before I finally got what I wanted. But Lin Tang didn't have to do anything, and Lu Jinan already placed her firmly in his future. He didn't notice anything strange about me and continued, I know you're angry and have distanced yourself from me because I said you were like a sister to me, but, he took a deep breath, seemingly lacking confidence, you can't force feelings, we'll be family from now on. The Lu Jinan in front of me was extending an olive branch, telling me it was time to end the Cold War and step down from my high horse. I haven't had a good meal with you for a long time. Yeah, I replied. Lu Jinan's eyes lit up, as if he saw hope for reconciliation, and then he continued, my mom cooks really well. I raised my hand and slapped Lu Jinan across the face, the sound loud and clear. Lu Jinan turned his head and then slowly turned back to look at me. My eyes were filled with tears, and he was stunned. I said word by word, Lu Jinan, you're such a bastard. 12. The college entrance examination was approaching, and my pressure was getting greater and greater. I was almost pulling my hair out. To relax, the homeroom teacher took us on a picnic in the nearby mountains as the last group activity after the college entrance examination. I happened to be in the same group as Lin Tang. As more and more people left, she approached me, in a sinister tone. She said, Jiang Qianyao, I saw Lu Jinan come to you after school that day. Lin Tang leaned close to my ear. So what if you like Lu Jinan? He's mine now. I wasn't interested and didn't even bother to lift my eyelids. Do you know why I transferred to Bailin High School in my senior year? Seeing that I wasn't interested, Lin Tang threw out another topic. Because I saw you and Lu Jinan buying textbooks in the bookstore. His eyes were smiling, and he kept looking at you. I thought it was interesting and also very annoying. She showed a triumphant smile, looking like a winner. You come from a good family, you're beautiful. Your love life can't be smooth too, can it? Lin Tang gloated, her eyes revealing cunning. I knew Lin Tang came from an ordinary family, but I never imagined that she had been jealous of me all along, or that she had such a twisted personality. I voiced the question that had been on my mind for a long time. Do you really like Lu Jinan? Lin Tang laughed, her eyes and brows brimming with arrogance. It was just for fun. He has nothing left except your affection for him. Didn't you notice that I've been imitating you in everything I do? He fell for it. Just as I expected, he's too stupid to realize his own feelings for you, and you're just as naive. Yes, I was too naive. I gave my heart to the world sincerely, only to end up bruised and broken. 13. Lin Tang made one fatal miscalculation. I recorded her words with the phone in my pocket and forwarded them to Lu Jinan. I was eager to see his reaction. Sometimes, youthful pride outweighs emotions. Lu Jinan and Lin Tang had a falling out. Someone saw Lu Jinan pinning Lin Tang against the wall by her neck, his eyes bloodshot as he angrily demanded answers from her. Watching the person you once liked have their true nature revealed layer by layer, like peeling an onion. It must be an awful feeling, right? I hope he could understand how I felt back then. There were 30 days left until the college entrance examination. 14. On the day of the third mock exam, Lu Jinan suddenly disappeared. All the teachers were frantic trying to find him. They contacted his parents and searched his home, but there was no trace of him. He didn't show up even after the 2-day exam was over. Exhausted, I walked home and saw a man dressed in black standing in front of my house. My nerves tensed up, and I gripped the personal alarm in my hand tightly. Yao Yao, it was Lu Jinan. He had lost so much weight that I could barely recognize him. His voice was unsteady, filled with subtle despair. He rushed over and hugged me, his body trembling violently. The feeling was exactly the same as the Lu Jinan from my past life. He murmured, I had a very long dream, so long that it terrified me. I dreamed that we were together. And then we got married, because of Lin Tang. I left on our wedding anniversary, leaving you alone to face the storms of the world. He spoke slowly, as if describing a nightmare from which he could never wake up. I saw your facial features being corroded by sulfuric acid. You fell to the ground, screaming in agony, with my urn lying beside you. Everyone around jeered at you, and no one came to your aid. You loved beauty and hated pain so much. How excruciating it must have been when you were splashed with acid. His voice was so hoarse that it was almost inaudible. I dreamed that you were finally taken to the hospital. Unable to accept your disfigured appearance, you committed suicide by jumping off a building on a spring day when your wounds were itching. I don't believe it. Tears welled up in his eyes and spilled over. This isn't real, is it? He looked at me with a manic glint, his eyes bloodshot, desperately hoping for a denial. I sneered, suppressing the overwhelming sense of grievance and indignation welling up inside me. It's all true. Lu Jinan staggered back in disbelief, then dropped to his knees in front of me, his once proud spine bent, as if it had been shattered. He buried his face in his hands, and tears streamed through his fingers as he began to sob. I'm sorry for you. He seemed to have lost his mind, rambling incoherently. After I died, as a spirit, I saw that Lin Tang wasn't dead at all. She had offended someone in the country and faked her death to escape, jealous of our happy marriage. She deliberately texted me saying she was going to kill herself. How could I be so stupid? We were married for 5 years, so happy. We were planning to have a baby next year. His face contorted with pain. I destroyed it all. He couldn't tell the difference between the past life and the present. Lost in madness, I felt nothing. Watching Lu Jinan in such a pathetic state, I only felt contempt. I left him there, sobbing and repenting, and walked away without looking back. 15. Lu Jinan and Lin Tang broke up completely. The college entrance examination arrived soon. A few sheets of paper determined the outcome of 3 years of hard work. I wrote without stopping, drawing a perfect conclusion to those 3 years. Lu Jinan performed poorly in the exam. His scores were just barely enough to get into a key university, and he became a cautionary example for the teachers. Lin Tang made the same choice as in her past life, astonishing everyone by giving up on university and choosing to enter the entertainment industry on her own, and I, the one least expected to succeed at first, became the dark horse of the school. My scores were even high enough to get into University A. When my parents saw my results, they were overjoyed, constantly praising me for my intelligence. We held a grand feast at home, and relatives congratulated me with beaming smiles. Lu Jinan sent me text messages over and over again, tentatively asking where I planned to apply. If it was University A, I guessed he wanted to apply to a school in the same city as me. When the acceptance letter arrived, I was admitted to the top major at University W, which was a full 2,000 kilometers away from the university where Lu Jinan was admitted. Life is too short and unpredictable. I want to learn many things. I thought I could finally have some peace, but in the first month of university, I saw Lu Jinan downstairs of my dormitory. He looked travel-worn, his face etched with the exhaustion of a long journey. Yao Yao, I'm sorry for you. He looked at me intently, his eyes filled with pleading. I cared so much about Lin Tang before because I felt guilty towards her. I've always felt bad, thinking that it was my comment about her being beautiful and photogenic that made her become a star. I never expected her to commit suicide. I was consumed by guilt. And that's why I just realized now that I've always loved you. I remembered all this to atone for my sins. Looking at his broken expression, I felt as desperate as I did when I witnessed his suicide. I curled my lips and said, I saw the messages on your phone. His face turned pale instantly. You told Lin Tang that you admitted defeat, asked her not to die, and said you would divorce me. After all those years together, you were thinking about Lin Tang every single moment. We supported each other through thick and thin, but on our wedding anniversary, you made me see my husband's dead body with my own eyes. Is this what you call love? Finally, with disgust in my voice, I said coldly, leave. I never want to see you again. My roommates said they saw a man standing in the same spot all night. He was like a silent statue. 16. I thought Lu Jinan would give up, but he crossed 2,000 kilometers to see me every month. He didn't bother me. He just took a distant look and left. Every time, he would quietly leave a gift behind. Sometimes it was a bouquet of roses, sometimes a beaded bracelet, and sometimes souvenirs from all over the world. The love and gifts that were overdue from the past life finally arrived in this life, but I didn't keep any of them. I threw them all away. I didn't need them anymore in this life. When I received the gift for the 10th time and saw Lu Jinan's desolate back, I called out to him. A glimmer of hope lit up in Lu Jinan's eyes, colder than the night, but it was extinguished by my words. Don't come again. Every time I see you, I have nightmares. What kind of nightmares? The answer was obvious. All the color drained from his face, and his eyes returned to their bottomless darkness. After a long while, he replied dejectedly, okay. Lu Jinan kissed my cheek gently and said, okay, but he still insisted on wishing me a happy birthday every year. Happy birthday, Jiang Qian Yao. May every year be free from misfortune. Until I turned 30. The birthday wishes still arrived on my phone punctually every year. On the day of my 30th birthday, on my wedding day, Lu Jinan, who was suffering from depression, jumped off the rooftop of the hospital. I received an anonymous letter that read, I've repaid you for both this life and the last. Another autumn came. A sycamore leaf landed in my palm. I whispered, my voice as soft as the wind, goodbye, goodbye forever. Story 2. When Qi Lianzhou and my lifelong crush were both trapped under the debris, he chose to save my crush. I died in that earthquake. Reincarnated back to when I was 17, I did not accept Qi Lianzhou's confession this time. Instead, I ran towards the boy covered in wounds without hesitation, crying. I threw myself into his arms. I won't let anything happen to you again. Behind me, Qi Lianzhou looked pale as death. Why? Don't you like me this time? In truth, he was mistaken. I had never liked him from the start. Hey, deskmate, be my girlfriend. Qi Lianzhou confessed to me just like I remembered, dressed in his school uniform. He blocked my path with his motorcycle, his eyes rebellious. It was just after school, and the school gate was crowded with students. Everyone turned to look, except Qi's proposal. Miss Cheng, yes, Qi truly has feelings for you, Qi Lianzhou's friends teased from the side. The only difference was that this time it seemed much earlier. In my previous life, he confessed just before graduation. Now, we were only in our second year of high school. Perhaps because I really didn't want to see him, I didn't notice his slightly nervous expression. In my previous life, he had been confident. Sorry, I don't like you. I gave a completely different answer than in my past life. After saying this, I didn't look at him again and turned around to leave amidst the stunned crowd. Qi Lianzhou grabbed my wrist. Wait, I frowned and pulled away, stepping back with a guarded look. May I ask why? He asked, his gaze inquisitive. After a moment, I decided to tell him the truth to let him give up. Because there's someone else I like. It was just like how being with Qi Lianzhou was to spite his true love, Yu Tian. My acceptance of his confession was also not pure. It was because he resembled Song Duo in some ways. During the 3 years I was with Qi Lianzhou, he never touched me because he was in love with Yu Tian. It saved me the trouble of avoiding too much physical contact with him. Over those years, I just kept being nice to him, hoping that his face would always carry a smile. That way, it felt as though I could see Song Duo smiling through him. But now things were different. Song Duo was still alive. To me, Qi Lianzhou was just a stranger. The next day, I intentionally arrived at school 20 minutes early. I spoke to the homeroom teacher about changing seats. I didn't want to sit with Qi Lianzhou for another minute. Why do you want to sit next to Song Duo? I was serious. Because his grades are very poor, and I can help him with his studies. I wasn't sure if the teacher believed me, but he agreed anyway. I moved my books to the seat next to Song Duo when there were still few people in the classroom. A few minutes later, Song Duo arrived. He glanced at me suspiciously. Who let you sit here? The homeroom teacher. I passed the buck quickly. The teacher asked me to tutor you. The boy scoffed coldly and said nothing as he pulled out a chair and sat down. I pushed the still warm bread and milk towards his desk. Song Duo, I bought too much breakfast. Can you help me finish it? Song Duo stared at me for a moment. If you can't eat it, just throw it away. I shook my head. That's such a waste. What's that to me? His voice carried a cold edge. I knew he had noticed. I had deliberately brought him breakfast. Song Duo's household only had his grandmother, who had a meager income. To save money, he seldom ate breakfast. Yet, for my sake, he would save up several days' worth of meal money to take me to a newly opened couple's restaurant. He would even race cars and sign life and death agreements with others to pay for my medical expenses, eventually dying on that desolate mountain. Remembering all this, I suddenly felt a wave of uncontrollable emotion. What will make you eat then? I asked softly. Song Duo furrowed his brows. Why are you crying? He finally compromised, taking the bread and milk from me. I breathed a sigh of relief, managing a small smile. You must stay healthy. Song Duo, why did you change seats? A gentle voice rang out. Qi Lianzhou stood before me, looking at me with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. I just felt like changing. I couldn't even bother to make up an excuse to appease him. Whispers of astonishment spread around us. Qi Lianzhou was recognized as the most handsome guy in school. His grades, appearance, family background, and flamboyant personality attracted a host of admirers. Yet, I had willingly moved away from him. Some people's gazes clearly conveyed their thoughts of me being ungrateful. Cheng Sui, if you're unhappy about something, you can tell me. If you think you're too far from the blackboard, we can move up front together. I shook my head. I just don't want to sit with you anymore. Qi Lianzhou's smile stiffened. Come out, let's talk. Okay, he said, grabbing my wrist. Friend, talk if you want to talk. No need for hands. Song Duo slowly spoke up. He was probably the only one in school who didn't regard Qi Lianzhou highly and could stand up to him. Qi Lianzhou's smile faded. What does this have to do with you? Song Duo chuckled. I suggest you let go of her hand. Qi Lianzhou scoffed, his tone dripping with mockery. Before he could insult Song Duo further, I had already freed myself from his grasp. Of course, it concerns him. I looked up at Qi Lianzhou. I like him. He has every right to be involved in my matters. The air went silent. Qi Lianzhou let out a ridiculous laugh. Cheng Sui, don't joke like that. Yeah, one of Qi Lianzhou's followers chimed in mockingly. You're rejecting Brother Zhou for him, Song Duo, used to such remarks. Merely scoffed quietly, I stood up, facing the follower with a smile. What's wrong with him? What right do you have to look down on Song Duo? Aren't you just a bully in school because you suck up to Qi Lianzhou? Turning to Qi Lianzhou, I continued, I said I don't like you. And I meant it. Can you stop bothering me? Even if you're the favored son of heaven, it has nothing to do with me. Is it a crime not to like you? Qi Lianzhou's expression darkened completely, the atmosphere was tense. He glanced at Song Duo as if looking at a dead man, then his gaze returned to my face. After a moment, Qi Lianzhou resumed his calm and composed smile. He spoke to me gently, it's my fault, I was too anxious. I scared you yesterday, didn't I? Let's pretend I didn't say what I just said. You can sit back here whenever you're ready. He probably didn't want to hear what I had to say next. He turned and went back to his seat. A girl, emboldened by Qi Lianzhou's seemingly peaceful demeanor, blushed and mustered the courage to approach him. Can I sit here? I can't see very well from the back. Before she could finish, Qi Lianzhou kicked the empty desk next to him with a bang. He turned to the girl with a smile. Who the hell are you? I silently watched everything unfold. Qi Lianzhou was still the same. His manners and upbringing were only superficial. Once someone offended him, the fragile facade was instantly shattered. I pulled myself out of these thoughts, and as I turned my head, I met Song Duo's gaze. He seemed to have been watching me for a while, using me to avoid Qi Lianzhou. I paused, puzzled. Why would you think that? Then it quickly dawned on me. I'm sorry. It's my fault you didn't feel my affection. Classmate Song. I looked at him earnestly. I really do like you. Do you like me then? He casually turned his head away. No, I don't. Liar. In a past life. He had clearly told me he had liked me for a long time. I understood his concerns. He probably thought I was just saying it casually. I nodded. So, what would make you like me? Song Duo scoffed. I'll never like you. He then put on his hoodie in an irritated manner, giving off a keep-away vibe. I wasn't discouraged in the slightest. I have lived through the future and seen everyone's true heart. The boy beside me always buried his passionate heart deep within an unfathomable abyss, unreachable for exploration. I was like a little follower of Song Duo. After class, wherever he went, I followed. Are you going to smoke? Song Duo, smoking is bad for your health. How about a candy instead? He always had a cold expression. Are you that free? I nodded. Song Duo. He always looked particularly irritable, but for every candy I offered him, he silently chose it over smoking. One day during a long break, Song Duo pushed back his chair and walked out. As usual, I followed. Song Duo. Are you going to smoke again? He suddenly turned around, his hand on his waistband. He wore a slightly mischievous smile. I'm going to pee. You coming too? I turned and walked away. Song Duo was learning bad habits. Oh no, he was always bad. In a past life, when Song Duo caught a cold, he wouldn't let me kiss him. I insisted on kissing him, so he deliberately took a drag of his cigarette and blew it into my mouth. I choked and teared up, and only then did he leisurely wipe the tears from my eyes. I told you to stop bothering me. I was always determined to win Song Duo over. I always thought it was just a matter of time, until one day, I noticed something was off. In class, he began to daydream frequently. He unconsciously smiled while looking at his phone. After class, he left his phone on the desk and went out alone. Suddenly, his phone buzzed, the screen lit up. Instinctively, I glanced over. A notification popped up on the lock screen, showing a girl's avatar. If you like it, that's good. My heart sank for a moment. I remembered clearly that besides me, there were no other girls around Song Duo. Despite coming from a modest background, his good looks never left him short of admirers. Yet Song Duo never paid attention to anyone. During the next 2 classes, I was silent, pondering over one question. Was it the butterfly effect? Because I made the first move. Does this life Song Duo not like me anymore? I had to face this possibility. Thinking about Song Duo liking another girl made it hard for me to hold back my sadness. I sniffled. What's wrong? Song Duo noticed something was off with me, put down his phone, and turned to look at me. Who upset you? I lay my head on the desk, covering the lower half of my face with my arm, and mumbled a response. You. Song Duo frowned, seemingly trying to recall. After a while, he finally spoke. I've quit smoking. Oh, so you quitting smoking wasn't for me. It was probably because that girl doesn't like it either, I thought, feeling deflated. After agonizing for a few days, I decided I still had to confront Song Duo. Even if he really had fallen for someone else, there was nothing I could do. I just hoped that this time, he could live a good life. That would be enough for me. After gym class, I saw him walking alone towards the school gate and quickly followed him. The boy walked too fast, Just as I was about to call out to him, I saw him stop in front of a girl. She smiled sweetly at him and handed him a gift box. My hands clenched involuntarily as I stared straight at Song Duo. He didn't hesitate and took it, raising his eyebrows slightly and pulling a smile. He rarely smiled at me like that, not wanting Song Duo to see me in my current disheveled state. I turned to leave but was unexpectedly pulled into a corner. Qi Lianzhou pressed one hand against the wall and the other gently touched the corner of my eye. Ching Sui, who are you crying for? Don't tell me it's for Song Duo. His voice tried to sound calm but couldn't hide his spite. What's so good about him? He's just an unwanted orphan, living day to day, no different from a vagrant. I didn't hesitate to slap him. Qi Lianzhou, you have no right to talk about him. He turned his face away, holding his cheek and laughing with a hint of anger. Ching Sui, what have I done to make you hate me so much? Huh, haven't I been good enough to you? I can give you anything you want. Qi Lianzhou's voice was soft, but the force he used to pin me against the wall was strong. Are you sick? Qi Lianzhou, let me go. He seemed not to hear me, his dark eyes bottomless with emotion. I felt a bit scared and bit his wrist, finally finding a chance to escape. Madness. In this life, Qi Lianzhou is not only a jerk but also a madman. It wasn't until school ended in the afternoon that I began to come to terms with many things, including accepting the fact that Song Duo doesn't like me. I packed up my things and quietly left with my backpack, so lost in my own thoughts that I didn't notice the glances being cast my way. Just as I exited the school gate, someone called out to me. Ching Sui. I turned around. Song Duo stood there with a cold expression on his face. Was it a lie? What? I was stunned. Your so-called liking. It only lasted for 3 days. I was still trying to make sense of his abrupt question when he approached me, looking down from his greater height. Are you playing me? I'm not. Who is playing who here? Song Duo responded lazily, lifting his hand to caress my chin. Do you still like me? His ambiguous gesture made my ears heat up. And I replied instinctively, I do, promise me. There was an unresolved determination in his eyes. I promise, I declared emphatically. Song Duo suddenly smiled, dazed. I remembered the girl from today's gym class. Just as I was about to speak, Song Duo handed me a gift box. It was from the girl who had given it to him earlier. Look at it when you get home, he said. Let me say this in advance. Song Duo shifted his gaze, looking somewhat uneasy. I didn't make it myself. I tried but couldn't do it well, so I had the boss make it directly. I blinked, suddenly understanding everything. My mood instantly went from cloudy to sunny. What does giving me this mean? What do you think it means? Pretending not to understand, I said. How would I know if you don't tell me? Song Duo smirked, leaning closer with a drawn-out tone. You say it first. He was so close I could clearly feel his breath. I stammered. I like you. He swallowed the last syllable of my sentence. His kiss was clumsy at first, merely brushing against my lips. Gradually, he became skilled, prying my mouth open for a deep kiss, continuing until I was almost out of breath, but he didn't pull away far. Song Duo rubbed my moist lower lip and whispered, say it again. Dizzy from the kisses, I could only respond as he wanted. I like you. After I spoke, he kissed me again, this time with much more expertise. I don't know how much time passed before Song Duo finally let me go. He looked at me earnestly, eyes filled with sincerity. I was still waiting quietly for him to continue when a harsh screeching sound of brakes filled the air. A bright yellow supercar charged towards us. No, to be precise, it was heading for Song Duo. The moment the headlights flared up, I saw the person inside, Qi Lianzhou. His eyes held a fanatical madness, driven by a determination to kill Song Duo. Just before the collision, Song Duo quickly pulled me back and narrowly avoided the impact. Are you okay? I clung tightly to Song Duo's sleeve, inspecting him from head to toe, interrupting him. How are you feeling? Are you hurt? Did you hit anywhere? Song Duo looked deeply into my eyes, surprised by my exaggerated reaction. After a few seconds, he pulled me into his embrace, his hand gently stroking the back of my head. I'm fine, don't be afraid. I'm only going to say this once. Qi Lianzhou got out of the car and leaned against the door, utterly indifferent to his recent actions. A slight smile curled at the corner of his mouth as he spoke softly. Friend, stay away from Ching Sui. Song Duo met his gaze and pulled me behind him. Otherwise, I have countless ways to make your life miserable. Worse than a dog's. This is just a warning. Song Duo, with a challenging lift of his eyebrows, walked up to Qi Lianzhou. And who do you think you are? He was even more arrogant than Qi Lianzhou. Qi, don't try your threats on me. The next second, Song Duo grabbed Qi Lianzhou by the collar and slammed him against the car door, towering over him with a detached look in his eyes. Be more careful when you drive next time. You scared my girlfriend. Qi Lianzhou, struggling to stand, looked somewhat disheveled. "You're looking for death." Before he could finish, the sound of police sirens neared. I stepped in front of Qi Lianzhou, driving without a license and nearly causing an injury. "Save your warnings for after you get out," I said. Had the police car not already arrived? I truly wanted to slap Qi Lianzhou. Perhaps I was too caught up in the joy of being with Song Duo at the moment. I failed to notice the near madness in Qi Lianzhou's eyes as he watched us walk away, a clear sign of his crumbling sanity. The next day, Qi Lianzhou didn't show up at school, giving me a rare sense of relief. When I sat down, I purposely lifted my arm to show off the bracelet. Last night, I had opened the gift box from Song Duo. It was a bracelet, likely custom-made, with a silver wheat sheaf embedded in the middle. Sway, for wheat sheaf. I unconsciously smiled as I looked at the bracelet in my palm. The wheat sheaf was exquisitely realistic. No wonder Song Duo mentioned that despite his attempts, he couldn't perfect it. Seeing my reaction, Song Duo raised an eyebrow and propped his forehead, watching me. "Do you like it?" I nodded vigorously. "I love it. I love anything from my boyfriend." I knew this was the best gift he could offer at the moment. Regarding the price, all I could do was keep silent. Showing any concern about the cost would only dampen the mood for both of us. Song Duo lazily chuckled and lifted his hand to pinch my earlobe. As the classroom buzzed with noise before morning self-study began, our corner was filled with a different, spreading tender atmosphere. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a girl approaching. Remembering she had asked me several questions before, I pushed Song Duo's hand away. "Just a moment." Then, turning with a smile to the girl, "You wanted to ask. Could you please make way?" I asked, bewildered as I stood up. The girl, her face flushed and eyes sparkling, looked eagerly at Song Duo. "Song Duo, I baked some extra cookies yesterday. Could you try them and tell me how they taste?" "Great, even a boyfriend as poor as him is irresistibly charming." I watched Song Duo with a half smile, but he remained as calm as someone watching a play, returning my gaze nonchalantly as if to say, "It has nothing to do with me." Only when my expression turned dark enough to squeeze water out of it did Song Duo finally speak leisurely. "Sorry." The girl was taken aback, her face filled with disappointment. "My girlfriend doesn't allow it," he said, glancing at me. Following his gaze, the girl looked at me, hesitated for a moment as she understood the situation, and then left with an embarrassed expression without saying a word. "You know, even when you grow old, that face of yours will never look tame." I teased Song Duo carefully. "More than that," he replied shamelessly, "even in death, this face will be unforgettable, believe it or not." I stiffened, feeling a chill run through my veins as the words of Qi Lianzhou from a past life echoed in my mind. He stood in front of my hospital bed with a cold tone. "Song Duo lost. He died in a car crash on the mountain, but I promised him, win or lose, that I would provide enough money for your surgery. You can return to school once you're well." It seems I've grown too complacent recently, underestimating the cause of Song Duo's death in my past life. In my previous life, right after entering the senior year of high school, I was diagnosed with a gastrointestinal stromal tumor, a disease with a mysteriously vague cause attributed to a genetic mutation. After my father died when I was young and my mother remarried and moved away, it was my uncle's family who grudgingly raised me. But after the diagnosis, my uncle found an excuse to move out with his family, leaving me with a house lease that was 2 months away from expiring. I don't blame them. They had already done a lot just by feeding me and raising me. Without money for surgery, I had no choice but to endure until I couldn't anymore and fainted, only to be found by Song Duo. It was supposed to be a plain and sad story of two poor souls comforting each other, but I never expected Song Duo to go to such lengths for me. The surgery only cost 50,000 yuan. For that amount, Song Duo turned to Qi Lianzhou and his wealthy friends, signing a life-or-death contract to race cars, eventually dying in a crash on a desolate mountain. 50,000 yuan bought the life of a reckless young man. Now, looking at the lively expression of the boy in front of me, it suddenly overlapped with the image of him lying breathless in the funeral home. Instinctively, I grabbed his hand. In this life, I absolutely cannot watch him get into trouble again. I can't let him get involved in racing. "What's wrong?" Song Duo asked, frowning as he held my hand back. "Are you feeling unwell?" I looked at him, slowly shaking my head, but his words served as a reminder. Although I was only diagnosed in my senior year in the previous life, I still went to the hospital for a checkup the next day. Everything was normal. I'm not sure if due to the butterfly effect I won't fall again in this life. But I started preparing a year early anyway. I took part-time jobs in my spare time to save money. Tutoring during the winter and summer vacations should help me save even more. At least this time, I won't let Song Duo risk his life for 50,000 yuan. 16. Qi Lianzhou returned to school. My peaceful days with Song Duo were short-lived. One day, Song Duo did not come to school on time. He didn't reply to my messages either. It wasn't until the second gym class that I heard some rumors. Song Duo is really cursed, his grandmother died, and now he's lost the last relative he had in the world. How do you know that? I heard it today when I went to deliver the attendance sheet to the homeroom teacher. They say she died suddenly. As the words fell, Chi Lianzhou appeared in front of me. Died suddenly, Sue, he said, concern in his eyes. Why do you look so pale? Chi Lianzhou instantly looked panicked, glancing briefly in the direction of my stomach. He made a move to pull me close. Is it? Don't touch me. The air grew tense. I stared blankly at Chi Lianzhou. Song Duo's grandmother passed away. Chi Lianzhou frowned. 2 seconds later, he suddenly looked up at me, his gaze deep and meaningful. What do you mean? The air around us seemed to chill instantly. Ignoring my struggles, Chi Lianzhou pulled me into a secluded corner. Do you suspect me? I silently stared at him. He suddenly chuckled mockingly. Ching Sue, have I been spoiling you too much? He stepped closer leisurely, going after a defenseless old woman. Do you think I'm a beast? I was cornered against the wall. His hand slowly lifted to my neck, his fingers slightly tightened. I immediately struggled to breathe, trying to push his hand away, but Chi Lianzhou was immovable. Cough, cough. Just as I felt overwhelmed by suffocation, he let go. I collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Chi Lianzhou suddenly came to his senses, kneeling in front of me. Sue, I didn't mean. His rapidly changing expressions were like those of someone with severe schizophrenia. No. I instinctively shrank back. Chi Lianzhou's outstretched hand hung in the air. After a moment, it dropped. He stood up quietly and turned to leave. His steps halted. His silhouette bore a trace of loneliness and helplessness. Believe it or not, I really didn't intend to do anything to you just now, Ching Sue. No matter what, I would never hurt you. Chi Lianzhou seemed to sigh. 17. As reason returned, I suddenly remembered, in my past life, during senior year of high school, Song Duo's grandmother was already gone. It was probably really just an accident. Right after school at noon, I rushed out of the school gates to Song Duo's house. His grandmother had already been taken to the crematorium. Only Song Duo was there. Sitting on the steps, light and shadows cast on the wall above his head. Tiny dust particles settled on his shoulders. Even his shadow seemed somewhat lonely. Song Duo. He turned around, his eyes slightly red. My heart ached instantly. His eyes drooped, suppressing all emotions. His voice was soft and hoarse. Sue, I have no family left now. This was the first time the usually bold and unrestrained Song Duo showed his vulnerable side in front of me. I sat down beside Song Duo, at a loss for words. I simply placed my hand in his, holding it quietly. Through this action, I told him, you still have me. At the beginning of our second year of high school, that early autumn, Song Duo and I were left with just each other again. Fortunately, I had come to his side a year earlier. This time, our roles were reversed. I comforted Song Duo, preventing him from silently enduring everything again. I helped Song Duo slowly emerge from the shadow of a family member's death. At the same time, I had to stay wary of Chi Lianzhou's occasional outbursts. It wasn't until his beloved Yu Tian finally transferred to our class that I could breathe a sigh of relief. Chi Lianzhou would likely shift all his attention to Yu Tian. He wouldn't cling to me and Song Duo anymore. However, events took a different turn from my past life. Chi Lianzhou almost completely ignored Yu Tian, and instead, continued to focus intently on me. One day after school, I was cornered by him alone. Chi Lianzhou, what exactly do you want? I felt quite powerless. His response was mild, yet eerily calm. Like the calm before a storm. Sui, no matter what I do now, it seems I can't change your determination to be with him. But do you believe that I have a feeling that you two won't last long? Sooner or later, Song Duo will no longer be a barrier between us, and you will ultimately be mine. I had a suspicion deep down, but I dared not think too much about it. Later, not long after advancing to our third year, my suspicion was confirmed. I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. Chi Lianzhou had been reborn too. In the second term of our second year, Song Duo had completely given up on studying and frequently took leaves of absence. He admitted that he truly had no talent for academics. As for what he was doing instead, he kept his lips sealed. During lunch one day, a question suddenly struck me. Why don't you just drop out altogether? Isn't it tiring to keep running back and forth from school? Song Duo scoffed, while scooping the plump dumplings from his bowl into mine. He said leisurely, if I'm not at school, what would you do if that Chi guy starts pestering you? I found myself unable to refute. In the time that followed, I noticed that Song Duo frequently had new injuries before the old ones had healed. I knew that if I asked Song Duo, he wouldn't say anything, so I decided to follow him the next time he went out. Brother Duo, another batch came in today, all assembled goods. They don't look safe. Song Duo, dressed in his racing suit and holding his helmet, came out. How would we know without trying? These rich kids are generous with money, but I can't risk my life testing these assembled cars. Maybe you should earn this money instead. Brother Duo. Song Duo didn't say much, just about to put on his helmet and get into the racing car. Song Duo. I finally spoke up. He stopped in his tracks. After 2 seconds, he put down his helmet and turned to walk towards me, watching Song Duo approach. The realization hit me too late. Despite my best efforts to change things, it seemed to have little effect. Song Duo had still ended up involved in racing during our second year, by some twist of fate. I can't describe the feeling I had when I saw Song Duo walking out in his racing suit. It was a sense of desolation, heavier than resignation, a profound silence. It felt like a long unresolved matter had finally reached a conclusion. Even if the outcome was less than satisfactory, I still chose to endure and go with the flow. Song Duo started school late and is now 18, with a driver's license. He repeatedly promised that he wouldn't keep testing new race cars for others forever. He said he'd stop as soon as he saved enough startup capital. Sometimes, when I finished my homework early, I would go to the club and wait for Song Duo to go home together. Yet, there were moments when seeing him in his racing suit briefly made my heart flutter. On that Saturday, on the way to the club with Song Duo. How much more do you need to save before you can stop testing cars? I sighed. Song Duo pulled my hand into his pocket. 50,000 more. I stopped in my tracks. That number sounded all too familiar. What's wrong? Song Duo also stopped and casually stroked my cheek with his hand. Sometimes, I feel like you're weighed down by heavy thoughts, but when I ask, you don't say anything. Suddenly coming back to my senses, I reached for his shoulders and tiptoed to give him a kiss. It just seems like a lot of money. As it turned out, my concerns were valid. Upon entering the club, it was busier than usual. Brother Duo, there's a race today, no rush for testing. I looked up to see the person surrounded by a crowd. Chi Lianzhou. I couldn't help feeling anxious and began pulling Song Duo to leave. Stop, a boy's voice rang out calmly. I ignored it, wanting only to take Song Duo away, but this time, it was Song Duo who stopped himself. Sway sway, his tone was light. Why do you always try to hide me from him? I was stunned. From the beginning, I had always looked at things from the perspective of someone who had seen the future, just blindly trying to keep Song Duo away from Chi Lianzhou. But I had ignored how Song Duo felt. In his eyes, I was acting out of fear because I thought he was inferior to Chi Lianzhou. Before I could speak, Chi Lianzhou scoffed, because she knows you're nothing. He casually tossed his helmet, his eyes brimming with mirth. She's afraid I'll kill you. Do you get it now? Chi Lianzhou, what is this? I really wanted to slap him. Are you bullying others because you can? Relying on his family background to bully others recklessly, in a way. Describing Chi Lianzhou as bullying others because he can was not wrong. No, who are you to talk to Brother Chi like that? People in the club who flattered Chi Lianzhou tried their best to show off in front of him. Song Duo lifted his chin and looked at that person. Are you looking for trouble? Huh. Song Duo was well known in the club for his fearless money-making. The man dared not provoke Song Duo and shut up sullenly. Chi Lianzhou still wore a smile after I scolded him. His gaze stayed on me. But he spoke to the man from before. She can scold. I frowned. Chi Lianzhou's voice suddenly softened. Sway sway. This is the first time in 2 months you've spoken to me directly, weirdo. It was the first time I saw someone getting excited by being scolded. Have you heard from the club that you're really short on money? Song Duo snorted with a laugh but didn't respond. Chi Lianzhou raised an eyebrow, feeling lucky. He threw 2 stacks of bills on the bar. 50,000 for 1 round. Whispers of astonishment spread around the room. Under normal circumstances, the most one could win from a race around the mountain was 5,000. Chi Lianzhou was offering 10 times that. Song Duo propped his chin up, lifting his eyelids slightly. Let's hear your terms. Chi Lianzhou lit a cigarette with a smile. Through the swirling smoke, I could almost see the excitement in his eyes. Reach the finish line within 15 minutes. The air went suddenly still. The club's record time was 19 minutes. 15 minutes was simply impossible. Chi Lianzhou was practically sending Song Duo to his death on that mountain. A chill ran down my spine. The truth I had always been reluctant to admit was now unveiled before me. 50,000, a car race. Such coincidences were almost too aligned with a past life. Chi Lianzhou, like me, had returned from another life. This time, he wanted history to repeat itself. To have Song Duo die on that desolate mountain again, I took a deep breath and reached for Song Duo's hand. Can we just leave, please? Song Duo looked down at me, unmoving. I'm begging you, Song Duo, let's just go. My words were rushed and desperate, barely holding back tears. Sway. I cut him off. Don't say anything, just come with me. Please, don't agree to it. I'm begging you. Song Duo pulled me into his arms. I sobbed quietly, unsure what to do. He whispered soothingly in my ear, Sway, this is the last time. After this, I'll never race again. No, Song Duo, don't go. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted us. I looked up from Song Duo's embrace. A shattered helmet lay at Qi Lianzhou's feet. How much longer will you hug? Huh? Song Duo rubbed the back of my head. Wait for me to return. There was no room for negotiation, with the 50,000. Song Duo wouldn't have to come back to this place and risk everything again, otherwise, it would take at least another 2 or 3 months. Wait, I stopped everyone. I demand a full inspection of all the critical parts of the car. That was the biggest concession I could make. Qi Lianzhou scoffed and shook his head. As you wish. Song Duo went to change into his racing suit and get ready. While waiting at the door, Qi Lianzhou approached. You want an on-site car inspection, afraid I'm out to harm him. My gaze pierced through him as if trying to see right through him. Qi Lianzhou, if anything happens to Song Duo, I will fight you with everything I have. I was so calm it scared even myself. Song Duo was taking a desperate gamble. So was I. I knew it wasn't just for the 50,000. Part of it was because he refused to show weakness against Qi Lianzhou. Qi Lianzhou's smile stiffened. Ching Sui. You really did it. As Song Duo finished changing his clothes and came out, Qi Lianzhou had already left. I couldn't care about anything else, just kept repeating, you know, we don't absolutely need this 50,000 yuan. Please don't risk your life gambling for it. Song Duo, look at me. I've been here waiting for you. You can't just leave me alone, right? You are the most important person to me in this world. You cannot die. Song Duo nodded, bowed slightly, and gently kissed my forehead. I know, I thought, it really is different. This 50,000 yuan isn't just life-saving money anymore. Song Duo would not gamble his life for it. What I didn't expect was that Qi Lianzhou would suddenly decide to participate. Both cars started at the same time, leaving only a roar behind. 15 minutes is just the length of a few songs. But for the first time, it felt incredibly long. The race was broadcasted live. Qi Lianzhou's car was close on the tail of Song Duo's but never managed to overtake. The competition was thrilling, everyone's eyes glued to the monitors. At the 14th minute, I finally saw Song Duo's car. Qi Lianzhou was still behind him, tried a few times to overtake, but Song Duo blocked him each time. The finish line was in sight, and Qi Lianzhou became restless. The roaring grew louder as he sped up dramatically on the last bend. Damn, is Qi going crazy? Overtaking on a bend is both an opportunity and a risk. The last stretch of the road was out of the camera's view. Everyone gathered at the finish line, watching intently. Who do you think will win? Qi, probably, with that overtaking move. I think so too. The broadcaster's tone, initially serious, suddenly became excited. Damn, this exclamation echoed around the venue. Then, a car appeared in everyone's view. 3 seconds later, a sprint. It was Song Duo. He finished in 14 minutes and 57 seconds. He got out of the car, threw his helmet onto the passenger seat, his black hair slightly damp. His eyes exceptionally bright. What are you staring at? Song Duo teased me with a cocky smirk. Your boyfriend won. I rushed into his arms, my tense nerves finally relaxing at that moment. Yes, you won. The thing I had been most worried about since my rebirth had finally passed. Still, worried about whether Song Duo was scratched. I immediately pulled him towards the changing room. Ching Sui, behind us. Qi Lianzhou's voice broke out for the first time in a desperate tone. Are you completely ignoring me now? I hadn't just ignored the voices behind me. Qi Lianzhou's attempt to overtake had failed, resulting in him scraping against the mountain wall. He probably got slightly injured, but what does that have to do with me? I didn't want to deal with that madman, but Song Duo had had enough. He turned around, quickly walked up to Qi Lianzhou, grabbed his collar, and delivered a clean punch. Qi Lianzhou leaned against his car, preventing a fall. Last warning, stay away from my girlfriend. I remembered the scenes where he made things difficult for Song Duo and couldn't help but walk over, looking at the disheveled boy. I hate you, Qi Lianzhou, I said, exasperated. Stop bothering me, you're making me feel like. I paused, searching for the right words. A mangy dog. It's really off-putting. Qi Lianzhou looked at me for a long time, uncharacteristically choosing not to argue this time. Fine. His eyes lowered, concealing any emotion. I get it, he said, his voice somewhat hoarse. After a moment, Qi Lianzhou silently straightened up, leaning on his arms. and walked away with a limp. I watched him for a couple more seconds. Somehow, I had a feeling. This time, Chi Lianzhou had truly let go. Song Duo had managed to gather enough funds and decided to formally drop out as soon as his senior year of high school started. He began to get very busy. Sometimes, he would force himself to pick me up from school, and the exhaustion was clearly visible under his eyes. Chi Lianzhou disappeared from my life for a long while. The next time I heard about him, he had been hospitalized for a long time. He must have some strange illness. Even the doctors can't figure out what it is. But he's getting weaker by the day, I was told. Just then, I received a call from Chi Lianzhou. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. You remember everything, don't you? I asked, knowing since I found out that Chi Lianzhou was also reborn, he would eventually suspect me. Yes, I replied. I thought he might ask me to visit him, but instead, we just chatted casually over the phone. Ching Sui, did you ever actually like me? His voice was so emotionless, he already knew the answer. Yet he asked anyway. Yes. That day at the club, my friend said Song Duo's profile looked somewhat like mine, and I figured it out immediately. Ching Sui, you saw me as a stand-in, you deceived me for 3 years. Hearing his accusatory tone, I couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you the same? Didn't you confess to me because I resembled you, Tian? There was silence on the other end for 2 seconds. Then, Chi Lianzhou's voice, weaker than before, came through. Yes. If it weren't for your face resembling you Tian's, I wouldn't have given you a second glance. Sick. He's ill and still calls just to belittle me. Do you have anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. Silence from the other end. Chi Lianzhou, losing patience and unsure of what he was up to. I hung up the phone. Song Duo was actually very smart. By the time I graduated from high school, he had turned his initial earnings into countless more. The boy who could once only afford a silver chain, a year later, put a diamond bracelet on my wrist as my graduation gift. 4 years later, upon my college graduation, he became the youngest entrepreneur on the city's ranking list. His net worth had multiplied many times over. Wow. I scrolled through the list on my pad. Song Duo, you're the handsomest one here. The man scoffed lazily. Most of these guys are in their 40s and 50s. You're comparing me with them. Unconvinced, I continued scrolling. Indeed, I came across another handsome man just 2 years older than him. No, look, this one is just 2 years older than you, and he's handsome too. He looks like a polished scoundrel. Song Duo came over, pulled the tablet from my hands, and stopped my browsing. That's enough. Then he bent down and picked me up, his face expressionless. It's time to sleep. I should have known better than to believe you. Song Duo's idea of sleeping was never just sleep. Standing in front of the nighttime floor-to-ceiling windows, I leaned on my hands. At first, Song Duo stood behind me, then he turned me around and held me in his arms. In the moment the fireworks exploded, the man in front of me seemed to merge with the boy from years ago. His eyes and brows carried a trace of youthful spirit. He said, Ching Sui, it's time we had a home. I collapsed, exhausted, resting on his shoulder, but my mind was clear. So I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered in his ear, then let's get married. The quiet night outside the window settled my long turbulent heart at that moment. This was the ending I had waited 2 lifetimes for. Extra story. Do you have anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. Chi Lianzhou was about to speak when a suffocating sensation hit his chest. Chi Lianzhou, Ching Sui urged from the other end of the phone. He couldn't utter a word, lying on the hospital bed gasping for air. The call ended without him being able to say another word to her. He knew he was about to die. It was a pity he hadn't had the chance to properly say goodbye to Ching Sui. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The same goes for being reborn. No one gets to live again for free. It was a life-for-life exchange. Ching Sui's chance to be reborn was bought by Chi Lianzhou with his own life. After Ching Sui died in the earthquake, Chi Lianzhou lived in a haze. He spent his days in regret. Unable to save her, one day, on his way back from buying alcohol, he stumbled upon a fortune-teller's stall. As if compelled by fate, Chi Lianzhou went for a reading. The fortune-teller spoke calmly. There is a way to remedy what you regret, a life for a life. If Ching Sui lives, Chi Lianzhou must die. The man nodded without hesitation, surprising the fortune-teller with his resolve. Perhaps it was his determination that softened the fortune-teller's heart a bit. He then gave Chi Lianzhou a chance to be reborn, but only for a year. After a year, he would die of a sudden illness. I frowned, stepping back with a wary look. So, he rushed to confess his feelings to Ching Sui, cherishing every second he spent with her. But things didn't go as hoped. In this lifetime, Ching Sui didn't want him, or perhaps, she had never truly liked him. After realizing he was just a stand-in, Chi Lianzhou, despite his leg injury, drank a lot. While drunk, He wanted to call Ching Sui to confirm his suspicions, but instead, he became even more cowardly. He passively avoided confronting the issue. As death approached, Qi Lianzhou suddenly saw many things in a new light. Initially, after being reborn, he wanted to eliminate anyone who coveted Ching Sui. Now he thought again, it didn't matter. He was about to die, to go after Song Duo, who would look after her then. Qi Lianzhou felt his body deteriorating. He sensed his impending death. Unable to